What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Kisscapades podcast. Today, I have a very special, lovely guest with me, and there's nothing but good things I can say about her. But let me just let her introduce herself, and then we can take it from there.
Okay, first of all, thank you very much for having me on this platform.
Yep.
As I was telling him earlier, I love podcasts. I listen to them every morning when I'm getting ready.
Yeah.
So being able to actually be part of creating one is such an amazing opportunity. And thank you very much. So just to introduce myself real quick, my name is Ikran Omar.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, such a hard thing to do.
And what do you do? What do you do, Kron?
I am a part-time model. I'm a model.
Uh-huh.
I feel like it's still weird saying that, but I started while I was in uni. So I've been doing it for a couple of years now. And what makes me different from the conventional model is the fact that I still wear my hijab and I stay covered up the whole time, whether it's runway, whether it's photo shoots. I have my principles and stands. I won't just wear what a brand dictates. Like, if what they dictate is not as par with my principles, then I'm going to have to turn down that opportunity, which sometimes is usually good opportunities, but being Muslim and being a hijabi is what differentiates me from like the conventional model.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that's something new in the industry. Like, even
Very
I'm
new.
sure, 5-6 years ago.
There's actually just one who made it big, and that was, I think, last year. So last
Yeah.
year is when we had like the first hijabi model ever.
In Kenya, or
No, internationally.
come on, no way.
The first one was Halima Aden. Wallahi, like it was last year.
You sure?
If there were other Muslim models, they
Yeah.
were not wearing the hijab.
The
So they
ones-
were just like the same with the other models.
There was one I saw. What's her name? She was raised somewhere.
Kakuma.
Kakuma
That's
camp.
the one I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Ah,
Okay,
she's the
okay.
one I'm talking about.
Yeah,
The
then
one
her,
with
she's.
the
Is that her?
refugee. Yes.
That's her, right?
Yeah, that's her.
I see. You do
So
my
beautiful.
research. I know what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Ah,
I think in 2017 she participated in Miss USA,
yeah.
and then that's what got her the attention, and from then on everything just spiraled. And I feel like just because something was not there before
Yeah.
does not mean that, a while ago it was inconceivable to think of a Muslim as a model. It's just such a taboo, because when you think about modeling, you're thinking of a half-naked woman walking down the runway, and that just
Not
does.
me.
Unfortunately, that's what a lot of
That's
people
that's
think.
not what I think. Speak for yourself. That's not what I think.
No, conventionally, like
But
if
it's
you
true,
were,
it's
you
true.
were to go to tell your parents that I want to become a model, that's the first picture that
Yeah,
will
they're
come
like,
into their head.
when it gets to that bikini section,
Yeah, no.
what next?
Yes.
Yeah, they'll be like,
So-
we're not doing that.
She actually did the bikini one,
She
but she was
did?
fully covered.
Wait.
Like her hair was fully covered. The top was like up to here, like a
Oh, there was like a
Yeah.
custom costume
Yes.
made for her. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's still okay, because now it just shows that you can still do it.
and
And-
remain within the lines of your religion.
Yeah,
or
of
your
what you
culture.
believe. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, okay,
So-
that's special, and that's very different. And even what you bring in the industry, anybody who sees you on Instagram, they will see that outstanding, like, just feature or theme on your
Yeah.
what do you call it, on your Instagram pictures.
Timeline.
Is there any point? Okay, before we even get to like the model industry, yeah, you said this is a part-time thing that you do, or would you say you do it full-time?
There was like last year I intended to do it full time.
Yeah.
I started when I was in uni, but when I told my parents about it, they were like, you can do it, but with conditions. One, you will prioritize your school over
As long as you pass exams and everything.
you can do it.
Yeah.
So while I was in school, I was doing it part time, and then I graduated last year. and decided to do it full time.
Hmm.
And I did for pretty much the whole of last year because I only had I was doing my degree and CPA as well. So
What's your major?
economics and finance.
Woo-hoo. Just say that again.
Economics and finance and a CPAK as well. So by the time I was graduating, I still had like 2 exams for CPA. I wasn't attending class for that. I was just studying on my own and then going to do exams. So I figured since it's just 2 exams,
Yeah.
I can't be studying the whole time and I don't even have classes. I can just manage my time well, and the rest of the time I can do fashion and modeling and my mom, I'm glad to have like an open-minded mom.
Yes. Yes.
She's very
Yeah.
supportive, and like one time I went in a car ride with her and she was encouraging me to like maybe start a YouTube channel. Like she doesn't want me to go through the conventional finish uni,
Yeah.
get a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Which I don't have a problem with, but
Oh, trust
at
me.
least-
Trust me, once you start, it looks really good, but once... Have you ever done an 8 to 5 proper?
I am currently.
No, not now. Have you ever done like before, like, maybe internship
Yeah,
and stuff?
for like 3 months after second year of uni, and
how was it?
made me make the decision that I would never take on a 9 to 5.
And then now you think it's gonna change?
Not really. It's because I have certain plans and goals. Like I intend to start my own business, and I did not want to take any loan. Or my dad offered me like a loan, like just a family one. But sometimes mixing family with business is not exactly
Yo, if your
a
dad
good
is giving you
idea.
a loan, take it, interest free.
No, the
Nobody's going to repossess your knees. Hey, come on.
The thing is, they're going to end up wanting control over the business.
I
and-
know, but you'd rather them than the government and the
it's-
bank,
it's
you know
better
that?
them, but what if I could come up with that money myself?
Oh wow, we don't have a lot of women in Kenya who say that. Eh? I mean,
So I figured right now I don't have any major responsibilities. I don't have a kid. I'm not paying rent. I'm still living with my parents. So if I do a 9 to 5, I can save 90% of what I'm earning for like a few months, and then quit that job and do whatever I'd planned to do in the first place. So sacrifice like a few months for me to be able to live how I actually want to live.
yeah,
Like a year or 6 months down the line.
that's very interesting.
So that's why I ended up going back to the 9 to 5, which I was not a fond of. I wasn't fond of, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do.
What is it? What's the 9 to 5 that you do?
I work as a financial manager for an oil marketing company.
Financial manager?
It's quite interesting.
Wow.
The oil industry is it can be very hard and stressful, but once you learn
The experience that comes with the
Exactly.
job, and
Very
if you
important.
apply it like anywhere else in
Yeah.
even your own business can be.
Yeah, true. Later on, the knowledge and the experience I get from this will be very helpful in starting my own.
And you see, that's why, like, even in the podcast, I keep, like, I have to ask people about these little things that they might not put out there. Because, let's say, if I see you on Instagram, I wouldn't know about, like, all these papers. I wouldn't know about your
True.
educational, like, qualifications and all these things.
True.
And you can't also blame people at times, because if somebody just sees the picture, they'll be like, Ikran,
Yeah,
she's just a model. She's just a model.
There's
You
nothing
see?
more to her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't blame them, you see. And that's why I
Yeah.
think I give your mom like a lot of credit, because you're a very intelligent person. Like once you start like just speaking and everything, I know that the other models that I'm talking about. Like, there's some models that, they get in the industry and they really just are focused on that so much. They don't they don't look at
See
it.
the bigger picture.
The bigger picture. Plus, we're also in a third world country.
True.
You also have to understand, like, the systems are not in place
The same,
to
yeah.
favor models, make it as lucrative as you might want.
Very true.
Yeah, so if you have something else on the side and just qualifications that will enable you
Yeah.
to even support, like, your own,
Your dreams.
your dreams.
True.
I mean, it should be easier, like, if you can fund your own. You can't keep blaming the government. But you can make it turn it around and
Yeah.
make it work in your own
True.
favor.
They say in Kenya it's who you know, but what if you make yourself worth knowing, Make everyone want to know you.
See that? You hear that? Okay, okay. So yeah, I mean, it's so important for people to understand, and that's why the podcast is here as well. Just for people who see you maybe on Instagram, or maybe will bump into the podcast and see like, oh, she's not just a model. There's so many
much
other
more
things.
to it.
And you see, like for you, like I think you even downplay on the like just educational part that you have as a person, which shouldn't be the case, because put it out there. If that's what you do as well, like let people know.
Yeah.
If you can talk about it, yo, a lot of
Yeah.
people making bad financial decisions when it comes to business, especially like young people. And that
They can
just
easily get scammed, or so many
Yeah.
ill-intentioned people.
and they are there in Nairobi. They are there in Nairobi. So you have to be really careful. And I think it's also important, just if you have something like that going on the side, even if it's not through like a blog or YouTube, the way like your mom actually suggested YouTube. How many parents out here will suggest something like that? And you're very vocal. You can just educate people on a lot. And if you ever need research on gear and everything, I know me. You know me. You know me. You know me. So I got you.
Amazing.
So one other thing that that I'd say I just recently saw like on your Instagram, and this is something that maybe would be partly like major part of the discussion, is there's this caption you wrote about needed to take a break from Instagram, social media, and all these other things, which you did for
I was away for
quite some
almost a
time.
month. Yeah.
Come on, a month? Month? I was waiting for you to tell me like for 6 months I've been out, and then but I want to understand like
What prompted that?
what prompted that, because like a lot of people right now are going through like this social media whole depression thing. It's too much. There are maybe comparisons to other people's lifestyles and everything, and maybe you start thinking like, hey, like what exactly prompted you to like just take a break and even come up with that caption, because a lot of people can relate to that.
I feel like there was a lot going on in my life at the time. Imagine working a 9 to 5. My parents are pushing me towards furthering my education, so either masters or maybe CFA or something.
As they should. I fully support that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which is okay. And there was just weekends. I was always busy. Like I was doing like 2 or 3 photo shoots in a day, Saturday and Sunday, and then Monday again back to the office by 8 a.m. And it got to a point where I was just tired. And
Burning out.
I was burning myself out, and trying to push both careers at the same time. One is bringing in good money, but the other one is the passion that if you take a break from for a short time, it can easily go away. You can easily be forgotten, easily replaced.
Yeah.
But I figured my mental health and my peace of mind was more important than any of that, more important than the money or the dream or the career. And I stopped and just to take a break. And I was struggling because I had anxiety attacks. It got to a point where I was having panic attacks and anxiety attacks in the middle of the day. And
How? Like when you're just seated,
I'm
walking?
just walking, and then, but I think some of it is because of previous experiences that I've had before.
From like what?
Can I share like one story? One time,
Please do.
we both live around it.
Yeah.
So one time I was walking. You see this highway, like as you're going towards town.
Yeah.
You know where like Langata Hospital is.
Yeah.
One time I was crossing the road, going towards Langata Hospital, and then this guy walks right behind me and grabs my bag,
What do you mean?
like a thief, yeah. So he
In
grabs.
Langata?
Imagine, and it was like 3 p.m. and if it
3
was
p.m.
8,
Come on.
Yeah, it was like
Okay, huh?
3 p.m. So but I'd hold on to it really tight, and my phone was in the other hand. So he comes from right behind me, grabs the bag. I fall with my head first, so I blacked out.
Ah, la, la,
But
la, la, la.
usually my first instinct is usually to scream.
Yeah.
just to get other people's attention, to
Yeah.
make sure like people around me were seeing what was actually going on.
Yeah.
So this guy that was driving from behind, now he's heading towards town, he saw all that happen, and then he rushed from, like, he was on the highway, usually they speed, yeah?
Yeah.
So he just turned a bit and he ended up hitting the guy. This whole time, Mimi, I'm blacked out, like I'm gone, I'm not.
You're not even there.
I'm not even there. So a few minutes later, I wake up with like a huge bump on my head, and I'm confused. There's 20 people around me, people
Yeah.
with first aid kits, and I'm like, what just happened?
Yeah.
This guy approaches me and gives me my bag. The guy that had hit
Yeah. Yeah.
the thief, and so he gives me back my bag, and just my phone was in the other hand. The thief took the bag, ran, and then realized I still had my phone, so he came back.
Ah, come on. That's
Took
like,
my phone.
you see now, that's where
Ran.
stupidity is. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that slowed him down, gave time for the driver to like hit him. And,
Yeah.
the driver asked me to go to the hospital. He will deal with the police and all of that. And I just went to the hospital, and I feel like I talked to my mom about it, but like I never really healed from that
Took
experience.
time to just-
it took
yeah,
time,
yeah.
for me to actually understand what happened. So a few days ago, I'm walking, and then my watch fell. And then this guy approaches me to tell me,
Oh my.
your watch has fallen. But me in my head, it's like
Thief
the same
again,
scenario,
yeah.
the same scenario plays
Yeah.
in my head. So I was trying to run and scream, but I was in the middle of a panic attack, so I couldn't even move my legs. I was just frozen. This guy he had good intentions,
Yeah.
but from past experience,
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, another one is coming. And I felt like not healing from previous experiences will prevent you from living a happier
Yeah.
life. So it's
Yeah.
important to talk to, not necessarily maybe your mom, your friend, but I would recommend a therapist. I feel like that's something that people shy from
Shy away.
talking about. One time I was talking to my friend, and she recommended me to one of her doctors, and it was during that whole period that I was now taking a break from social media, and I just decided to focus on my mental health and me getting better, and not because with Instagram, people expect you to maintain a certain image, but I'm not happy all the time.
I don't care about that. But you won't see me crying on Instagram. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You won't see me posting those. It's very rare for me to talk about things like that.
Yeah.
But when they happen, I think it's important to take time, heal, take care of yourself, self-love, do something for yourself, think about something that you would do for someone you love, and then do those things for yourself. Take care of yourself and prioritize your peace of mind. Yeah.
So it really got uncomfortable for you. I'm just guessing, like even posting, you can't just post anything,
Yeah.
and that's something really small that happened to you. Okay, not small. I'm
Yeah.
just saying that because I've been robbed enough times. So like I
This is
really,
Nairobi.
yeah.
You
So
know.
I mean, like for me, I'm always like, yeah. But I understand, like for you to even just say that, like you're getting these panic attacks. I can only imagine if that's happening to you, maybe in town.
Yeah,
This
like
is
I stopped going to places with a lot of people. I would, if I can get a place where I'm just by myself, I would keep to myself
Really?
a lot. Yes, like I would avoid social places. I would avoid because the paranoia was getting to me a lot, and like even going to like a mosque was hard because like, people are just staring.
what?
at you.
What do you mean? That should be the most comfortable place because
Yeah, like
going
it
for
should be
prayers and
prayers,
meaning,
and you're just with God,
and you can
it's
share even
peaceful.
with
Yeah, so I don't
Even
like,
that was
even that was hard for me. Like something as simple as getting out of bed in the morning. It was a struggle, but I have to get out of bed. I have to go to work. I have
Yeah.
to do this and this and that. And yeah,
I'm sorry you had to go through that. But you see the thing, and it's also like a bit different because how guys go through like just deal with like their trauma is slightly different with how
women
deal with it. Because like for me, of course, if I'm robbed, it doesn't mean that I actually after like 2 days I'd still, kind of like forget about it, not unless maybe I have like a wound which will keep reminding me. But I can promise you, if somebody touches me in town, they're getting punched. Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's those kids who are borrowing money, if it's an Allah, somebody I know, but that's from the PTSD that we're talking about. So it's understandable. And also, like, for that to even affect you in a way, like all those panic attacks you're talking about, waking up, posting on Instagram,
something that used to be very simple and comes so naturally
and fun
to you.
for you,
It becomes so hard, and you can't explain why you're sad. You can't explain why you're feeling down. It's just. And I'm the type of person that if I'm feeling low, I wouldn't want to transfer that negative energy to anyone else. So I will keep it to myself and try to deal with it on my own, which is not bottling up is not healthy.
It's not a good thing as well.
It's not a good thing. That's one of my weaknesses, but finally, at least I got help, and I would really advise anyone who's going through any of that to see a doctor or talk to a friend. Just talk to someone who's understand. Don't talk. Sometimes who you talk to is very important.
Oh yeah, you can have like those friends who are just making fun of you. They're not taking anything you're saying seriously. If you say like therapist, you're like, we've been robbed enough times. What do you mean therapist for? It doesn't mean the same experience if somebody else hasn't gone through that. Plus, you also have to imagine anything could have happened in that scenario. Anything.
I was blacked out.
Yeah.
And I was by myself. I wasn't like with a friend or anyone to take care of me.
Yeah.
I was just lucky that there were good Samaritans.
Yeah.
That was pure luck.
Yeah.
God's protection.
Because imagine somewhere like in town, and the way Kwanzaa in town, if you're getting robbed, people look at you, it's like something like
You can only take a photo and go. Like record a video
and
not
go.
even care about
They
you.
will not. So, I mean, it's just lucky enough that you're at least somewhere within like
a homey environment where there was residential and so after that I didn't go out for a very long time.
There's a time I was looking at your Instagram, it was a bit quiet. It was like, what's happened to our Muslim model? Like, okay, now so let me go back to the other models. But okay, so that's important at least to just share something like that, because people wouldn't know that.
Yeah, like it's not always rainbows and sunshine. Sometimes people go through
things that you might think that are little, but they actually do affect you, like even like just your mental state and everything. Okay, so now let's just move back to modeling, because that I really had to raise it up, because that's like the last post, I think the new post, one of the new posts that I saw you actually like doing. So I was like, what's this all about? And I was like, maybe this would be interesting to talk about it on Instagram, which makes sense now.
And while we're still on that topic, I feel like there's nothing wrong with using social media or being on it a lot, but you just really need to be aware. You don't necessarily have to use it less, but you need to use it more intentionally. You have the power to control the content that you consume. So if you feel like something is don't just be mindlessly scrolling through things. If you feel like this is negative and there's so much hate relating to something, unfollow, block, delete, forget,
mute. Follow you but mute you. You have all those options, because a lot of people don't realize this, but subconsciously
it tends to affect us.
What you feed your mind every single day. If there's somebody on your timeline who always appears with this negative, like they're always complaining, they're always insulting people,
that energy will transfer to you.
It will. You won't know, but definitely it will. And you'll start being that person and getting like just even emulating the way they behave, how they respond to things.
Subconsciously. Without even realizing you're turning
and people
into
are asking you, by the way, what's wrong with you nowadays? You're like, what do you mean? But it's just because of what you're feeding yourself every single day. And
so it's just important to follow people that motivate you, consume content that is positive, and your environment will just slowly turn into that. Everything will be positive and good energy and self-love, and you'll be happy.
Wow, now you should be the therapist now. Okay, let's talk about just modeling Uh, is it appropriate for me to say Muslima model, or how is it supposed to say?
Uh,
Muslim model or Muslima?
Any can do it.
Any
Both
can
are
do.
good. Yeah.
Okay, so how has your experience been just in general in the model industry? Been doing it for how long?
I think 3 years now.
Three.
Wow, it has been a long time.
3 years. Okay, but how has your experience been so far? Because I think I noticed you probably like 2 years ago or something, and I think even there's a time like we tried communicating.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
were
supposed to
create
do like
some
something.
content.
Yeah, and we stay in the same neighborhood.
Imagine, I don't even know.
That's just
We're practically
insane.
neighbors.
That's insane. I could have done so much content, but I think all things happen for a reason.
Yeah.
How has your experience been just in the model industry? Because I've brought in like a lot of different models, from like the ones who have titles like Miss So and so,
Yeah.
just your regular models, models who work like overseas, and like Indian models. Now I finally have like, you're Somali, right?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, Somali. Let's say Somali because now that cuts down. Like just to show like the variation. But how has your experience been? Because I just get it from like even light skin models get a whole different experience. I swear, it's so
True.
different from everyone, and everybody has just like a different experience and stories to share.
Yeah.
How has your experience been so far?
So the first time I did a shoot, like
Yeah.
I wasn't even intending into going into the industry.
Yeah.
A friend of mine was coming out with a collection, and she was also not sure she would go into it. You know, when you're
50-50,
young, you're
yeah, you just
50-50,
want-
you're
yeah.
trying out new things.
Yeah.
And we did a shoot,
Yeah.
and then we posted the photos on Instagram. I wasn't even charging her or anything. We were just friends trying to
Yeah, just having
help,
fun.
Yeah, the business grow. And once after I posted those photos, initially before I went into modeling, I was blogging. Like I love writing. I have a lot of pieces that although right now I've taken a long break.
Do you still write? No?
I haven't written in I think over a year.
Why not?
I think life just got too busy. And I feel like maybe that's, now that you've brought it up, maybe that's one of the reasons why, because in the beginning I used to use that writing as an outlet
Yeah. Yeah.
for me to express myself and just release all those emotions onto a piece of paper or just my phone. And now that I've stopped, I'm having to deal with all this bottled up emotions.
Yeah.
So I should get back to that.
You should write. And I'll tell you some of the best poets that I've realized, poets and just writers, are like just Somali women.
Ah,
Yes.
wow.
Just think about it. Like most, like really.
Like there's this one, Warsame. No, sorry, someone Shearer. Like she wrote Beyonce's Lemonade. Like she wrote for her, like a
Or
good
like
amount
all the.
of
Yeah,
the whole album, like the whole process.
There you go.
So yeah, come to
Now,
think
if you
of
think
it, a
about
good
like
number.
most, like I've seen like most, and a lot of them, like they really write things about poetry, just emotions and everything. I think that's
Yeah.
that's a thing.
And when you think about the Somali culture, like before, Islam came,
Yeah.
like poetry was such a huge part of the culture.
It
like,
was?
Yeah, it was.
Really?
Yeah, poetry and music.
Yeah,
Such a
then you
huge
see,
part of
because
the culture.
a lot of just the friends that I know, they really just have like blogs and WordPress.
Yeah.
So they do the
Right.
poets and the two quotes and everything. So like they really do tap in their emotions, and I think
Yeah.
that's like a really nice outlet
Outlet
for even
for-
most of them.
True, very true.
So you should consider going back to that. But yeah, so back to like your
Back to-
experience,
yeah.
like just in.
So I would use the photos from the shoots to like maybe put it on the blog and just make the writing interesting and try to like send traffic to the blog using the photo.
Oh,
Yeah.
so if you post the picture and then like
Yeah, sending people to
link
the
in bio.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So once I posted the first shoot, I
Yeah.
started getting messages from designers were looking for a model, like a modest who's okay with wearing the hijab and all of that.
Yeah.
So I soon after, I think like the third designer I worked with was Idil, who I'm still working with up to
Idil
today.
Safina?
Yes.
Yeah.
Her designs are pushed. Like she thinks outside the box, and she's such an amazing designer, and she travels a lot. So now I'm her brand ambassador. Whenever she's not around, we like attend events in her place. And every time she creates a collection, she sends me like several outfits. She's just an amazing woman, and I think with that, most of the designers I ended up working with are Muslim, so they have no issue with me wearing the hijab. But now I intend to go into conventional modeling.
Wait, what do you mean by that?
To contest for Miss World Kenya, Miss Universe Kenya, while still wearing the hijab.
Yeah.
This year that's the goal, to become it. And I've already seen I'm keeping up with the information, knowing this day will be auditions. Like I have reminders.
Make sure you do Miss Universe first of all, because
I was talking to, I don't know if you know, Miss Universe 20, not last year. Last year is 2018, 2017.
Yeah. What's her name?
Scarlett Were.
Yeah, I know her, but we're not that good friends, but I know her, yeah.
I met her in one of the interviews we did together. It was just about modeling, and she was giving her perspective of being Miss Universe, and I was giving my perspective of being Muslim and still on the runway. And,
yeah.
I think we just connected really well, and she was telling me about the whole process and how to go about it, and she was really encouraging me to push towards that. If not,
that would be insane. That would be crazy. Because I'm just looking. I'm already thinking about it right now, and I'm like, yo, this will be really interesting.
That's the goal for this year, to go bigger, go big or go home, man.
Because you have like all the qualities, and you see even like the other models that we're talking about, who are from who represent just Islam. Is it Islam or
Yeah, Islam.
Islam, right? I don't want to misquote anything, because people will always be ready to correct me. I'm just saying it from how I'm trying to understand. And you see all these things, like our generations are so different, because we interact. Everybody interacts with everybody. So during the old days, kidogo, it was a bit like everybody was just secluded in their own corners. But now these generations, people are blogging, they're shooting together, they're working on projects, business together.
Encouraging diversity.
Exactly. So we really have no choice but to understand each other.
True.
Now I was talking about the Miss Universe, because I was talking with I brought one of the directors of Miss Universe on the podcast. Yeah. We talked for almost.
How have I not seen that one? I'm going to.
No, because I told you my content is I shoot every single day.
Because I think I've watched
but I post once a week.
all of them.
I pace myself, but I talked to one of the directors, and I was telling her you understand, even from just doing the podcast and how they approached Miss Universe last year on the digital platform, it created more awareness. So a lot of people really were aware of what's happening.
Yeah.
And for me, I can just speak for myself, the videos that I shot and I edited, I have a very diverse reach and just network of people, and even just friends. So I was you see all these other things like Miss World Kenya, Miss whatever and everything, we're not up to date with when is the audition, where is the nini, so you really don't know. But from what Miss Universe did last year,
everything was out there.
You'd know all the process, who's been eliminated until got to the winners,
finalists.
to the finalists. So I was telling her this year you should be prepared, because I was asking her you really need to keep in mind that what you did last year will affect even the people who will come this year, because once you post now you're auditioning for A, B, C and D.
Sure.
First of all, expect a very diverse group of women who will come here. So if you're not prepared to handle all these different needs, because I was like, look at what happened in Miss World Kenya. See, it's an Indian lady who was selected, right? So I was asking her, like, just hypothetically, think about it. If you ended up selecting like a Indian lady, which she qualifies, it's not like you favored her.
Yeah.
And let's say for like Miss Universe, you ended up selecting again another Indian lady, which, because she deserves it. It's not like you're being biased or anything.
Yeah, true.
I was telling her like, but I was telling her, bleaching cream is going to run out of people will run out of bleaching cream in this country. Cause I was asking her, cause does it affect? Cause if you do select her as well, even though she has the qualifications and everything,
Yeah. What impact will it have on
other girls,
Yeah.
because they'd be like, okay, Miss World Kenya, she's been selected and she's light
she
skin.
looks like this?
Yeah.
So I have to look like her.
Yeah, or even let's say for this year you show up and then they're like, okay, so now we have to give it to Ikran because she qualifies, she has everything that we want, and she's just going to represent us in a very good, because there are so many things that come to play. Plus they'd be thinking like, okay, Sawa, let's think about it this way. She has all the qualifications and everything, but there's also something there's also something very outstanding about her. So if we choose her and put her in an international platform, come on, definitely
the impact
that it will have. Because first of all, even if they just do like the camera pans across the models, they'll be like, okay, Sawa, we know all these other models, but who is that?
She's
Who is
different.
That? Yeah, she's different. Who is that? So you see, I was just asking her, like, all these things can come to play, and how would you handle it? Because even for her, she was like, we really haven't thought about it that way.
Wow.
But I told her, like, you need to, because now if you advertise like on social media and just what you did last year, like just be sure the people who will come this year. I was like, what if like 5 white models show up?
Yeah.
You're like already.
If
you're
she's
like
qualified, she's qualified.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, you have to think about it, because I was talking about so many other things that
will come into play.
Yeah, it's not even just about just
the
looks anymore.
Or the looks, or
it's just like even the person, because you'd find like you'd have like some models who are really good, really, really good, but maybe their upbringing affects like just how they conduct themselves and just their morals and all those other things that might.
This person represents the whole country.
Yeah. So it's
she's
not
carrying all this weight.
Yeah.
And if it's someone who is not maybe morally upright, or like Kenya can get.
Yes. So all these things come to play, but now the diversity is where it's gonna be tricky for. When they're selecting, they'll be like, okay, we didn't expect Somali girls to be in this. How do we handle this?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we also didn't expect, like, other Indian girls. That's why, like, I have to bring, like, finale so that I can talk to her, because, then again, you can be selected and then win. And then here goes Kenyans again, like, come on.
She's not Kenyan.
Yeah.
But I feel like as long as you're born and raised in Kenya, I was born and raised here. My parents were born and raised here. My grandparents were born and raised here. So my roots are in Kenya.
Come on, you're Kenyan.
Okay.
Yeah, we stay in the same neighborhood. You're Kenyan. But I'm just saying, you see, like, you know how Kenyans on Twitter, like, just react, and there's so many things. And even for you, you might be selected, and then just from the backlash that you get maybe online, you're like,
am I doing the right thing?
Yeah, is this really what I signed up for? Yeah, but you see, like, finale, when she went for the Miss World platform, she really did represent Kenya in a very, very good way.
And I've seen, like, she's actually using that platform to do so much. She's like meeting with the president. And I remember when I was younger, was it like 2004, 2005, the Miss World Kenya then, the one who had, I don't know if you remember, she had like a Jiggers campaign. Like,
that's Cecilia Mwangi. Why are people calling her the Jiggers girl?
No, it's because
I've had 3 people on the podcast.
she is easier to remember because the crown is not just like something related to beauty. Of course, that's like the beauty, the walk, all of that is important. But once the crown is put on your head, you are given a responsibility to do something that is bigger than yourself.
A bigger responsibility.
So she did something for her people, for her community, for her country. Like, she actually went out and used that platform for good. And I feel like that's why it's easier to remember her.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me, if God willing, I'm able to get into any of those.
Oh, you will.
God willing,
Oh,
inshallah.
you will.
I feel
If
like
you're
that's the
planning to
most
get into them?
beautiful part of it, being able to give back to your people, give back to your country, create a change, because that's how change starts. It starts with one person with a dream, and then if you pass on that energy to the next person and to the next person, that's how the country will grow, and you'll inspire other people to do the same. And yes, it's a crown on your head. You've done something for yourself, but you've also done something that is bigger than yourself.
I can't wait to share this video after you've been crowned to represent Kenya somewhere. But you see, all those things really come to play because it's not just about a title anymore.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing, like you said, you see, there's so many things that you've tried to balance out in your life. Because, like, even the way you're talking, you're like, I have to do this 8 to 5. So that I can
save up
I can
to do
save
what
up
I actually want.
Yeah, to actually do this. All these things come to play because let's say you're selected. Okay, let's just say you get selected, right? Let's say you just get selected.
We speak it into existence.
Let's speak it to existence because all these things, and because I was there like doing the audition,
the videography,
and everything.
I saw the whole process through even
Yeah.
your Insta.
And it's kind of very interesting because there are people who would come and they really have all the qualifications, but maybe just because of how maybe their persona was reflected would make you actually lose a certain position or chance to go to the next level. And I'm just seeing all those qualities in you, and I'm like, listen, the directors will be watching. I'm just telling them like, you better know how to handle this one. Better be prepared to how they're going to handle all these situations. But yeah, so interestingly, what would you say, like, because we're just talking about like just the industry in general and stuff, because definitely it's fun for you. It's something that you're very passionate about.
Yeah.
But what are some of the things that you've maybe noticed in the industry and then you're like, what are some of the hurdles that maybe you've had to overcome or just
For me, I feel like just wearing the hijab has protected me from so much, because
trust me. Oh yes. That industry it has a very dark side as well.
Yeah. You really need to be careful.
So please just tell us about
for
the
me, I feel
hardships,
like wearing the hijab speaks for me before I speak for myself. But when I'm having conversations with my friends, they tell me, and I have been approached by brands that have, okay, I'll give an example. There's this brand that approached me, and I told them, definitely we can work together, but these are my principles. I'm not comfortable wearing anything that shows too much skin. I'm not comfortable wearing anything that's too tight. And they're like, that's cool. So I met up with them, and they're like, oh, so you want like dresses and skirts? And sure, that I am cool with. I meet with them. The first thing I saw were the skirts, and I swear they were not even halfway to the knee. They were
belts. They are belts. They are not skirts. They are belts.
So it was a really good deal when I saw the contract. But when I was going into this, I promised myself that I will not do anything that goes against my principles. And the good thing with that is no one will approach me with ill-intentioned agendas, because they know the answer is going to be no. and I've talked about it. I'm very vocal about that. I want to go into the industry. It is a really beautiful industry, but I will not do something that will make me lose respect for myself.
Such a relief to hear a model say that. It's such a have any like, because you know how the industry comes with like a lot of sketchy people.
Yeah.
Are there like some sketchy
Not
agents
even
who've
one.
come in?
Not even
What?
one. Not even.
What?
All of them, I think because of how I portray myself, they know the kind of person I am, so they will not even think of approaching me with an idea that they know I'm just going to turn down.
Wow. It's because you've heard my other podcast, right? So you've seen like when I'm
Yeah,
asking models, like, yo,
when-
has somebody approached you and offered you like,
yeah.
yo, do this for me, and then so
I'll give
nobody
you
has
this
ever.
and Not even one.
Wow. You see,
And I feel like that's the beauty of me putting my principles first. And I think the best part of it is I'm able to follow my dreams within, but still staying within the lines of my religion, my culture, my principles.
Wow.
Like, I'm not losing myself in the industry. Because I feel like it's very easy to lose yourself, and just if you don't protect yourself, like if you don't stick with your principles, you can easily get lost in this industry.
But I was also talking. I don't remember who I was talking to, but you see, you'd also have like a good majority of models who maybe have come from, you know, an upbringing where it's like, you know, not from really like well-off families.
Yeah.
So at times when they're put in these situations,
Yeah.
it's really hard for them to say no, because they're like thinking like, yo,
These are things that I've never had growing up. And
Yeah.
they see the flashy things being thrown at them, expensive bags.
Oh yeah.
Whatever,
But
and
how do you deal with that? Like for you, because let's say yes, you have come from a household that has like an upbringing and everything, but you see, I've seen and heard you talk about like a lot of independency. Like, yo, I
Yeah.
don't want to take a loan from my parents. I don't want the loan that my dad wants to give me. I want to
Yeah,
do it on my
my
own.
yeah.
So what makes you like still stick to your principles? Or what would you, because it hasn't happened yet, what would make you say no? Like, let's say if somebody said like, you know, this business plan of yours, it needs like 3M, 3 or 4M. Okay. How about I'll fund it like fully. But you know, in return I'd want, you know, what these sketchy people come with.
Yeah.
They come with such good deals and like just woo people away.
Yeah.
What would make you say no to that cause? Yeah, you don't have to go to the 8 to 5. You don't have to take a loan.
Yeah.
Plus your business like nini is there right in front of your face.
For me, I think one, I'm a very private person. I'm one of those introverted extroverts. Like, most of the time I'm introverted, but put into a situation. But I think being in this industry has pushed me into being into more social environments and having to be an extrovert and having to talk, walking the runway, and so much exposure. I think I feel like a huge part of who I am is how I was brought up. The religion, not just the religion, also like my teachers. There's this teacher I had in class 8, our class teacher, Mrs. Sang. I swear I'll never forget that woman. Every choice I make in life, I just try and think, what would she think about it?
Yeah.
You know, like she had said, I think back then I didn't realize it, but throughout, I think high school is when I started realizing how big of an impact she had on me and on my classmates as well. Like she was our class teacher, but she was also like a mother and a best friend at the same time. And I feel like controlling the people, controlling who you allow to influence you is very important.
Yeah. Yeah.
controlling the energy around you. If you surround yourself with, if today I was around models that, they would
You can
encourage
just
me
you can
to
just say it. You don't have to say like.
models that would encourage me to do things that were outside my principle,
Yeah.
I feel like the pressure would be a lot. But I surround myself with people who have the same goals as me, people who motivate me, people with positive energy who are always talking about growth and self-love and independence. So I feel like who you let around you, who you keep, is also very important.
People you keep around you.
People you keep around you, the energy you keep around you is very, very important. And I feel like that has played a huge role into helping me remember who I am in times when it's hard to. And yeah.
But does this mean do you get along with the other models?
Very well.
Do you have models who talk about these things around you, or they just respect, like you said, they respect like already the hijab? First of all, they're like, yo, if we need to talk about this, we can't talk about this around Ikran. Yeah.
But no, they actually do talk about it. And like I don't know if we mentioned this in the podcast earlier. I was having a conversation with Scarlett Ware, Miss Universe 2017,
Yeah.
and she was telling me about like the whole experience, everything she went through, like the whole process from auditions to actually, she was top 8. It was I think more than 90 something women, each representing a different country, and she made it so close to the finals. And I was asking her, how? Please.
Yeah, how?
Teach me your ways. And like she was very open about the whole process, and I feel like we really, despite us being like different, we're the same at the same time. I don't know if that makes sense. Like we follow different paths, but we still have kind of the same principles at the end of the day. Like we're just different religions, and I wear a scarf. But that's, I feel like with me and her, that's almost like the only difference, because she has very huge goals for herself, and she's very ambitious and such an easy person to get along with. So, yeah.
Okay. who are, like, since you've mentioned her, who are like some of the people you look up to in the industry?
For me, definitely number one will be Halima Adan. Because she's the one hijabi model that has made it big. Like she's worked for New York Fashion Week, Kanye West.
Yeah, she did a easy.
Yes, this weekend she actually had her own fast fashion show, Modernisa in Istanbul. Like she collaborated with these huge brands for her to actually design her own, and like she's such an inspiration. And not just the fashion and modeling part, she's collaborated with the UNICEF to give back to her people. She's gone to Somalia, she's come back to Kenya to the Kakuma refugees, and just to make sure that the girls that were like her have the opportunity that she had. And she's such an inspiration, and I feel like if there's anyone to look up to in the industry, for me it would be her. Yeah, and there's so many other models that are breaking, the norms. There's models that don't have perfect skin, like Winnie Harlow. There's models that...
Who's Winnie Harlow?
She's this model that has...
Oh, is she the one who has like... Oh, yeah.
There's models that are plus size, models that are doing, like breaking the norms,
Yeah.
And I feel like the beauty industry is becoming a lot more accepting.
Yeah.
And, bringing in diversity into everything. And I feel like when it comes to designers, instead of seeing the hijab or plus size or imperfect skin as an obstacle, they should see it as a way to incorporate diversity and create a bigger reach for their market. Because if imagine any store here has one model who is black, one model who is white, one who is plus size, one who is a hijabi, like you will reach a bigger audience than you would with just one conventional model.
That's why I think you'll be great for Miss Universe Kenya. I think
Hopefully.
I think you can go really far. That's for sure.
Directors, if you're seeing this,
listen, they will know. They will know. And I told them like, listen, when we're doing these things on the internet, when they involved me, I was like, I told them like, yo, these videos will make a very different impact from like how other beauty pageants like just advertise themselves.
Yeah.
So it's going to reach like a very different and just diverse crowd. So just be ready for next year. And I kept telling them, just be ready. Because I'm telling you, as much as you might want to like, sour, you're just
The
doing
game
auditions.
is changing.
Like people will show up and like, you'll have like a really tough
choosing.
decision to time,
Yeah.
like just a hard time deciding who is going to,
represent the
because
country.
everybody will be there, they have all the qualifications, but now you have to put into consideration so many other things,
Yeah.
and not just the normal,
Everyone
things that
brings
used to-
something different to
Yeah.
the table.
different, special, brains, beauty, diversity, like all those things will come to play, but
Yeah.
they'll be prepared for that. So I mean, let's see how that goes. Let's just see how that goes.
And I feel like with beauty pageants, it's not just about the beauty. There's also that part where they ask you questions, and it includes your intellect as well. So
They'll be listening to this podcast. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I can't bring so many models to the podcast because I also don't want to put out the wrong image.
True.
Yeah, because I'd ask somebody like, what do you think about dating old white guys? They'd be like, yeah, they're the
It's
only
not-
reason that and they will have their supporting facts. You see, so you're also not saying that that person is wrong, but it's from their past experience. That's
Sure.
the only thing
Everyone.
they know, and it's the only answer they have to a different future.
True.
So you can't blame them, but also then again, that's not what I want. The message I
That you're
would
trying
prefer.
to pass.
Yeah, because I want to show girls or just
It's possible.
people in general, it's possible to actually achieve all these other things
on your own.
on your own, apart from doing all those other
Yeah.
sketchy things on the side.
Yeah.
Okay, now when it comes to, because you've said like your parents are super supportive, especially like your mom, the way you've mentioned.
Yeah.
You've mentioned your mom a lot, so and even for me, I'm always talking about my mom because she's like, she's always been there for me regardless of whatever.
Yeah.
But what about, because the mom is never a problem because, your mom is there, ride or die. But now what about relatives? What do they think about that? Because now that's where there was always like, hey, Mama Nani, can you talk to...
Your daughter.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Uh-huh.
At first, I think I've never been that person who was worried what other people would think about them. Like, if something is, I find it okay, and it's not
Because Somali relatives can be,
talk, they can talk.
Yeah.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah. I'll be like, what? No.
Yeah.
She's our daughter as well. Even if your mom says, she'll
Yeah.
be like, no, she's our daughter as well.
Yeah. So at first, they actually asked my mom the same thing when we did the BBC interview with her. They asked her if she was ashamed of me going into this industry and what her friends were saying, or what her friends would tell her about me. And at first, her answer was very fast and quick, and she was like, no, I'm very proud of my daughter, I support her. And I think with them seeing my mom supporting me and them seeing that I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm just following my dream and I'm still within the lines of my religion, them seeing my mom supporting me helps them support me.
Yeah, they're like, okay, now,
Yeah.
okay, she maybe has a point here with
Yeah,
this one.
even earlier this year, my grandma, she started a clothing line and she made me the main model for the line,
So now they're like, okay, now we
Okay,
understand. We understand.
understand. So it starts slowly, but it's also very important to make them understand what you're doing. Like with my mom, of course, the first time I told her, she was like, "Hi," and then I gave her an ultimatum. I told her, then follow me to all my shoots, come to all the runway events I do. If you don't like what I'm doing, I swear I will stop. However, if you're okay with what I'm doing, then give me your blessing. That's how we started. So she came with me to almost every photo shoot. Like she's met almost every designer I work with, almost all the photographers. Like most people
Wow.
in the fashion industry that I know, they know her as well. Like they work with her. And with that, she actually saw what I was doing, because when you tell your parents, like my parents are very protective. If I tell them I'm going out, they'll be like, where are
As
you
they
going?
should be.
What are you doing? Who are you with? So if I actually bring them with me to do, like every runway
Just
I've
see,
walked on,
just for them to see
they'll just
what.
sit back and watch. And I think with that, like, I was very transparent with her, and it was very easy for her to give me her blessing, because I showed everything to her, and I was very honest from the get-go. And of course, they had their conditions. When I was starting, I was in uni, so my dad was like, you have to prioritize your school, and you have to remain decent and remain within the lines of your religion, and don't lose yourself. Those were like, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I see. It's just so simple.
Very
Just,
simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like even the Somali community is evolving and changing. Like last year, those Somali Glamour Awards, where I won Female Model of the Year. They were like awarding people that
Hey, high five for that, first of all. Uh-huh.
they were awarding people that were in industries that before it wasn't even
Something to be
imaginable.
considered.
Yeah, so there was someone who won like YouTuber of the Year, and like a photographer, a makeup artist, a designer, like people in all these different industries that were not exactly acceptable
Yeah.
within the borders of the culture.
Yeah.
So I feel like the society is also growing towards becoming more understanding and accepting, as long as it's something good. It's instead of me being in the streets stealing or doing drugs, I'm actually doing something for myself, and it's something positive.
Those things won't benefit you anyway. No, those are not even things you should mention. That is stealing drugs. No, but I think a lot of us tend to forget. Like you see, like even for you, at times I think people tend to forget. Like when the parents are being protective,
Yeah, they see it.
it's because they know they've. Like, don't forget, like, they were not like your age mates. They've gone through that whole process. It's like for you right now, let's say you had a daughter, and she told you that she's going to be a model, and there's this guy who said, like, they have like a yacht photography shoot kind of thing and everything. What's the first thing that's gonna
I'll
come
be
in your
like,
mind? You see? Exactly, you
But-
see.
I'll be like, that sounds sketchy. But if she was
Yeah.
willing to bring me with
Yeah,
her,
yeah. You'd be like, oh, okay, so yeah.
okay.
And she tells you like, Enya, if you want, just come and see, so that
come
you.
and see,
It's
yeah.
even by her just saying that, she sort of almost gives you like, like there's nothing.
There's nothing wrong.
Yeah,
with
like
an
just
art.
come and see if you like it, so if you don't like it,
I believe.
yeah. So it's just parents like just like they've seen you and carried you from like a baby.
Yeah,
So they have to be-
genuinely care about
Yeah,
you.
it's their job to protect you, and they know what this whole industry comes with. And not just them, like everybody else knows what the industry comes with. Just entertainment, fashion.
Can be a very
everything.
tricky industry.
It can be very tricky, especially losing yourself with just 1 minute and you're gone. You're gone, and there's nothing you can
One
do
wrong
about it.
decision and
Yeah,
it's
and
downhill
it's,
from
and it's
there.
downhill, and there's nothing you can do about it. And are there any like Muslima model agencies?
Now that's the issue.
Mm.
There's only one I've seen in the UK.
One.
International one I've seen, and that's one of the things I actually want to do once I save up enough. Start a modeling agency that speaks for diversity, and
That's why it was on
anyone-
my questions. My next question was like, why have you thought of like, just actually being one of the first people? Because you're very well spoken, enlightened about, very educated,
Yeah.
and also already experienced. And of course, after you do like this Miss World thing and Miss Universe, now that
It'll give
brings
me a platform
all
to.
this. Yeah, it's not just
do so
about
much.
winning anymore.
Yeah, it's about
It's-
giving back. And
Yeah, just teaching people about how to go about all this.
Yeah. And I feel like that's one of the things I intend to do, because on Instagram, most of the
Uh-huh. Yeah, sorry.
and Insta, most of the questions I get is a lot of girls telling me, asking me like how to get into the industry, what do they have to do, like And a lot of also designers asking me if I know any other models, and I feel like I should be
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I should be that center, like that connection between, like a bridge between the two. Like if I can start something that
Yeah.
will
Help them just like
both
ease
sides,
into.
ease into the industry, and then also have like a role model who's been through everything and can guide them through it. Feel
And
like
you've proved that seriously just
possible to-
existing 3 years in the industry and being able to maneuver the way you've maneuvered.
Yeah.
Listen,
Because
I have
sometimes,
to.
like if you're called for auditions and they put rules like you have to wear a white vest and black jeans.
Yeah,
and
you have to like
find
have
a
a
way to make-
conversation. Yeah, you have to have this conversation with them. Like, hey, so I
Yeah.
know this is what you want, but you have to
Like-
come with a counter offer that's against what they already have planned.
Exactly. So I feel like maybe winning, not just even if I don't win any of those platforms, like once I save
come
up.
on, that's not how we
We're
talk.
speaking it into existence.
Yeah,
Yes. Once
yeah.
I get onto that platform.
Yes, yes. Let's
That
talk
is
like that.
That will be like one of my agendas. I intend to start like a platform that will give them information and experience, and maybe sign them up and connect them with the designers and ensure that they don't get lost in the industry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know, like, and for me, I also have, like I've said, like, I have a very diverse network when it comes to work, when it comes to models, friends,
Yeah.
and like I even have like a lot of like Somali girls who are my friends, and they ask me like how we supposed to approach this and that, and I'll be honest, there's some who've asked me to do like shoots for them. But what they were describing, I was like, listen, I don't want to be, because maybe when I was younger, maybe I'd have done it, but now I want to be involved or be one of those people who are actually making
The world a better place.
a better place. Yeah, like they have all these crazy ideas and stuff, but I'm like, yo, listen, anybody else, I can do it, but I won't do it. Just specifically because I don't want to be that person who takes you to that direction, because I already know, like, just religious wise where your stand should be, and you'd have some who are like, I know, like, you know what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
because like we've said right now, like a lot of just people, the way we mix and blend up
Yeah.
is quite different from how it used to
Back
be.
in the
Kitambo,
day.
yeah. So they'd have like this idea for a shoot, and I'd be like, yo, listen, I don't think this is the right. I
Thing to
don't.
do.
Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, you don't intend to mislead them.
Yeah, I don't want to, because I also know like there's a door once you open.
It can't
Yo,
be
listen,
closed.
it can't. It can't.
Once you're through that door,
Yeah.
you pass.
Plus
it.
the internet is there. There is no way you're closing that door. So I'd be like, yo, listen, there's so many other ways you can approach this.
Yeah.
Still be modest, especially because, yo, listen, it's not just about you. What about your parents?
Yeah.
What about the other girls that are looking up to you? If you have
What
young
influence
sisters,
do
and
you have?
yeah, you can't just, yes, you can be a rebel, but man, yo, there's some, be a rebel and not involve me. That's what I'm always like. So, like, yeah, you do your thing, but yo, I don't want to be involved in that, because now it's gonna be on my head, like, I'm the one who actually
Yeah.
initiated or
It's
triggered
going
this.
to bother you as
Yeah,
well.
so I really, it's tricky, and that's why I think it would be important for somebody like you who's already been through that experience and prove that you can actually do things this way.
By yourself.
And yeah, just maybe if you can, that's one of the things
I
that,
intend to do.
once we make
Yeah.
sure you get that crown.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by then I would have saved up enough for my job
Oh, trust
and
me.
have enough to start my own.
Even if you haven't saved enough, like now your dad can come in and
Yeah.
there's a better, you'll understand, like now, okay, now
Yeah.
this actually makes sense because I can.
And it'll be
Actually-
easier to get endorsements from bigger companies and
It makes sense. Makes sense.
use
Or-
your influence and reach to do something bigger than yourself, something beautiful, giving back to your community, your people, your country. Create a difference, make a difference.
True. So another question is, just in general in Kenya, do you think modeling is
viable industry.
Sustainable. Yeah, let's use all the words you can throw there.
Well, definitely not.
Like
on
maybe
its
to you it's different because you're light
Yeah.
skin, you're a bit modest and everything. Other girls are crying. Huku, they're like, hey, by the way, we're getting paid little money, and maybe the gigs are not coming as often as we. Because if it's runway, how many runway shows do you have in a year?
Yeah, true.
Yeah, and if it's maybe editorial, how many editorials are you doing in a year? So do you think it's something that's sustainable or?
My experience in Kenya, it's not something you can do on its own. You definitely need a separate source of income. And as much as it's growing, though, the good thing is it's growing and people are becoming a lot more open-minded and accepting, and the industry is becoming more diverse. However, we're still far from where we need to be. There's still a lot of growth to be done, and like how many runways can you do in a year? I feel like runways pay more, even photo shoots pay more, but if you want to do it full time,
Yeah.
Nothing is impossible. I tend to believe like everything is possible as long as you're willing to put in the work, willing to put in the time. But you also need to be very strategic. A lot of brands will give you opportunities and pay you with exposure, and it's very important to because especially when you're starting, no one will take on an unknown model to represent their brand, so that they will tell you that we will take you on, we're not paying you any money or any we're not even giving you any products or PR packages. We'll give you exposure, and the exposure you get from that will be helpful for your career. And with that, I think it's important to know the kind of exposure you're getting. So if it's like if today a brand like Versace tells you to do like a certain kind of work and they will pay you with exposure.
Yeah.
Sis,
Like,
sign
come
me
on.
up,
Be like, come on, let's do
yeah.
this. Yeah.
But it's very important to also put yourself first and protect yourself, because if you keep doing them for free, brands will be like, but you did for Nani and Nani for free, so they will take advantage.
And they always use
and
that
I have
Nini
seen that
Sio.
happening firsthand. Like this model I worked with for almost 2 years.
Yeah.
We were both working for the same brand. I was getting paid the whole time, but she wasn't, and I didn't know. And then one day she noticed me getting paid immediately after. Most of the time, like they'll send M-Pesa or to the bank, so it's not usually my policy is pay half before we start and then half after. So that will at least encourage me to know.
Commitment, sort of like, yeah.
Exactly. So one day we were having a conversation and I was being paid the after, immediately after we'd done the work. And she was like, I saw you being paid. I've never been paid. And I was like, what?
Can you imagine?
We're both working for the same brand. We both are like almost the same level.
Oh, wait. Okay, I have a tricky question here. It's a very tricky question. Was she a dark-skinned girl or was she...
More light-skinned than me.
Come on. Oh, she's not taking advantage of her light skin in this country.
So, like,
She was not
she was not being paid
for 2 years.
the whole time.
The whole time when you were working.
The whole time we were working, and I think, and this year I got an opportunity to work with a lot of models when I did a runway event.
Yeah.
And most of them knew like this was the first runway they'd ever did, so I made sure that after the event I sent them my sample contract, like
This is how you go about it.
like this is how you go about it. Make sure before you do any work you communicate with whoever you're working with. Tell them that, like for my contract it includes everything from sexual harassment, copyrights or like patent rights for the content.
What do you
we're
mean
creating.
sexual harassment?
To like it has information that whoever I'm working with should respect my boundaries.
Have you worked with people who don't respect boundaries?
So far, thank God, no. But at least
I'm just
if someone
where does
tries,
this apply? If someone tries what? Because you see,
someone
here's the
tries
thing.
something-
We shouldn't just mention.
Yeah.
I won't I want people like, especially like the way we are talking about, you see these young girls who approach you and everything.
Yeah.
What does that entail when you have like that clause, that sexual harassment clause on your
Yeah.
contract? What does that entail?
So it entails, for me, it's how I dress. So whoever I'm working with to at least respect my boundaries, and if they try anything that is not within my boundaries or like my principles, I have something actionable that I can actually go to court and sue them with, because they signed a contract that they will do A, B, C, D. So if they go against that,
What's anything?
can I read maybe like a clause and see?
Oh, please. Yes. Yes. Because you know why? Because somebody's somewhere listening. They are a model.
Yeah.
For me, I'm good. Because me, I'm not modeling. I'm not anywhere with these sketchy people who are shooting and anything.
Yeah.
But for somebody who's listening,
Yeah.
and they're like, because like, you know,
This
here's
is
the
all
thing.
new, maybe, to
The
them.
people who don't even understand what sexual harassment is. Because they'll be like, that's just him. He just plays a lot. That's just his nini.
True.
Yeah. So what exactly does it entail?
Okay, let me just read
Thank
it.
God, it's a bit quiet, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Finally.
Because people need to understand. Because when we're talking about contracts, somebody will be like, me, as long as I'm paid, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah. But there are people that will tell you they will pay in the beginning, and then they will drag you after. Like 2 weeks later, you call them, no, bado sina pesa. Call me after 2 weeks. It's 3 months down the line, and they still haven't paid.
The next thing we're talking about, like, just get that if it's there, and then the next thing we're talking about is like just payment and such things. Because a lot of people don't, and I think a lot of people don't even understand how the industry works.
True.
Because I've met people who are like, you know what, may I want X amount of money, and I'll just come there for like 1 hour, and then you're like, you have any experience in this? They're like, they don't even know what's going on.
True.
And it's so sad because when they're saying this, it's,
I have a whole.
oh hell no, I'm not reading all that.
No,
I'm
just
not reading
only
that.
What?
How am I supposed to read? I don't even like reading in the first place.
I really protect myself. So the sexual harassment part, this says,
Yeah.
the employer must ensure that the dignity and the respect of the model is upheld at all times. Statements or actions that offend the model personally or sexually will lead to termination of this contract, and the model will be paid in full. Any act that the model feels too offensive may lead to a legal suit against the employer.
Okay.
So something like that, and then there's the section of the payment, there's the section of the rights, patent rights of the photos, safety, like if I get injured while we're working together, who's supposed to cover my insurance or something like that, working hours, payment, termination policies, so all of that, renewal of the contract.
Definitely. Those sketchy people
Very
can't deal with you.
important.
There's no way you'll show that to them, and actually they proceed with what they were thinking of doing.
So I made sure that once I worked with like the new models, there were almost 20 of them. I sent each and every one that email so that they read through it and like make sure if they decide to use it or not, that's upon them. But at least I did my part to,
just create awareness to them, and just
of,
know like this is what you
this
can
is what
actually.
happens, and this is how you can protect yourself from getting lost into the industry.
See, a lot of people don't know that, because somebody will just be like, they've just given me a contract, they've told me to sign, doing any. So you see all those things that you're talking about, ownership and sexual harassment, payment,
overtime,
hours, insurance in case you get injured, all those little things.
Hours,
because
very
maybe
important.
somebody's forcing you to work somewhere till like midnight. They don't know how you're getting home.
Exactly, because like most
And
of
it happens to most
like
models.
most of the runways that I've done are like at night, starting from 6 to midnight.
Yeah.
And for me, I think I'm lucky because my mom is always at every event I attend.
Oh, she's always like that, just like that.
So and my brother drives me home, but not everyone has that opportunity, and it's important to protect yourself however you can.
That's so important. Okay, let's talk about something that you've mentioned. You've mentioned payment. Pay models KE. That has been a hashtag.
Trendy.
That's been a hashtag for the longest time, and it's still not changing till today. when you're just starting off, because of course
Yeah.
now I know you, like just from the 3 years experience, you can see like just from her contract, she's scrolling on the phone. I can't even read that Monique, first of all. If you scroll like more than twice, there is no way I'm reading that. So when it comes to such things as payment, have you experienced, like just when you're starting off, or have you experienced that like just in general? Because that's like a Kenyan thing,
Yeah,
by the way, right now. It's not even like about it's different,
Yeah.
nini. It's like a
Yeah.
Kenyan thing, even with suppliers or whatever. It's just like a Kenyan thing. Have you had that experience of like late payment, or somebody promised they'll pay you, they didn't pay you, and that's why like you had to come up with like the contract and all these
Yeah,
things
and
now to
measurements.
protect you?
Yes, unfortunately, that has happened. You know, in the beginning, I was naive, so to speak,
Yeah.
because I didn't have any information, and you know, this is my first time going into a completely new industry that I never imagined myself in. So, like growing up, it wasn't even nowhere close to anything that I could potentially go to into the future. But I feel like if you agree to do something for free from the beginning, that's on you. You know, that's okay if you say yes. But you know, if someone promises to pay you from the beginning and then 1 week later you call them up and ask for your payment, and they're like, give me 1 more week, and then that 1 week turns into several months, and it gets to a point where you just give up, you know. And I feel like modeling should be taken as seriously as any other industry. If I'm working an 8 to 5 and my boss doesn't pay me after 3 or several months,
Yeah.
you know, that usually doesn't happen in Kenya. But when you look,
Hey, it happens.
it happens.
Are people not getting paid, Nini?
Oh, the nurses and
Hey, not even that. I know people who personally, like, they go to Jobo and they haven't been paid for like 3 months. So they tell me that, and then for me, I'm like,
why do you still go to work?
no, not even why. How do you afford to go back to work?
Yeah.
How do you
How
afford
do
to
you
go
afford
back
to
to
go
work?
back
How
to
do you
it?
afford to pay for your house? How do you take care of yourself and you're supposed to go back to the Nini?
True. It's a very good question.
If you don't show up for work, like, listen, it's the right thing to do, because
I don't have anything to sustain me to come to
yeah,
work.
how do you pay? How do you buy food?
Yeah.
It's tricky.
Very tricky, and I feel like a huge reason for why the pay models Kenya was trending is because modeling is not taken as seriously as other jobs in Kenya, and I feel like how you portray yourself is very important. Like if for me someone approaches me to do work with me, first thing I do is send them my contract, ask them to read through it, and then give them my I can't forget the name. No.
Terms, working terms and
No, the
conditions.
payment one.
The down payment?
No, you have one as well.
Which one?
Uh,
The rate card.
Yes.
Yes,
you make sure
yes,
you
yes.
give them your rate card
Yeah.
and tell them this is how I charge, either per hour or like depending on the amount of work that's needed to be done, and you communicate your intentions from the beginning. You know, that's very important, because like for me, if once the contract is signed, that's signed, you know.
Yeah.
If you do anything you had agreed to and not do it, I have a legal stand to sue.
To actually, yeah, you're just
I'm
protecting yourself.
myself.
Yeah.
You know, so this person will not make me false promises, you know. But if there's no contract involved, if you don't stand like for
Yeah.
yourself, and you don't have like a position where you can you can protect yourself, it's very easy for people to take advantage of you. And let me tell you, people will take advantage.
They will use you. They will use and abuse
seem
you.
to have a halo on their head.
they'll use you.
They will
They
use
will.
you.
Yeah.
They will. And unfortunately, like I see it happening a lot
Yeah.
in this industry, unfortunately.
And funny thing, I'll tell you one thing that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a contract, let's just state with the basics. If you have a rate card and a contract, once you send that to someone, they look at you a whole lot more differently.
Very different.
Forget about those ones of like, how much would you charge for a runway? Mpaka like, why do I need to discuss this with you? I have a rate card and I have a contract.
All the information you need to know is
it's
in
there.
that.
So I'll send it to you.
Email it to you.
I'll email it to you because like even for me I have like even a WhatsApp version. So I'm always like, oh, you want it now? Like, okay, so give me your number. As we are talking, I send it to you. And then immediately, if this is like a sketchy person or somebody who was like trying to, they'll be like, Connie, we can't just do something and do like on the side. You don't have to sign these things. Now you start seeing like, okay, this person might not have like the best intentions with what we are planning to do.
True.
And of course, it immediately shows you like you can't trust this person.
True. You like your guard will be up the whole time. True.
But of course, then again, like for me, I have those clients that are return clients, and we've formed like a business relationship.
True.
So for them, I don't need to give them like contracts. Can you imagine if like for me, I showed Huda like, Ati there's a contract. How do you think she'll screenshot that shit, post it online, and insult me first of all? No. But I'm just saying, like, it's cause it depends with the relationship you
have with your clients. True.
And
like
I'm sure you have those,
it's
right?
the same with like someone like Idil.
Yeah,
I don't think I've ever shown her even my contractor because she respects my boundaries.
Yeah.
I've worked with her for like more than 3 years now, and like every time she never fails.
Yeah.
She respects me as a friend, and like when it comes to work, we're professional, and
she also respects that part as well.
Exactly. So I feel like with someone like her, I don't think she's ever seen
you see, but even like for you, like this is just like my person. Even when she's calling you, you don't look at it as probably like work per se. You just,
she's my friend.
This
like,
is your friend. She needs you for something.
Going through that whole process of anxiety, panic attacks, and depression, she's like the first person I ring
now you see
to talk to, and she's more like a big sister to me. Now, But if it's a client I'm working with for the first time,
contract is a must.
Contract.
It's a must. Yeah. Like these are mine. This is my rate card first of all, so that they know if the pricing is okay.
Yeah.
And secondly, on top of that, these are the working conditions. Immediately after that, it just puts somebody like in a whole different like just mind frame when they're dealing with you. And even if they refer somebody to you, they'll be like, hey, Ule. She's serious. Exactly. And you want that word to be spread around, not like if you need a free model, call Nani. You want people to know and respect your brand.
Because you're putting in work, you're putting in effort, you should be appreciated for everything that you're doing, and it's a job like any other, to be honest. So you should not be taken advantage of, and I feel like mostly like when you're starting and you decide to do like a few for exposure, which is okay, like if you do one shoot or one runway in the beginning, but usually like the people you work with in the beginning, once you decide to work with them and then the second time you're now giving them this rate card, and most of them will turn you down because like the first time
they already knew you from like being a free nini. Like come on,
most of them by they don't come back after you show them the contract. But at the same time you should not waste your time and energy on people that don't appreciate you.
True. At least we've touched on that. Okay, now another question before we move to a whole different topic that is always there. Like you can't run away from this topic because it's always there with every guest that comes here.
Okay.
So if you need a refill for tea or you need some more cake or you speak now, forever hold your peace. So when it comes to modeling, which is more fun for you? Doing like shoots, editorial shoots, like those where you just pose, take those kinds of pictures, or runway? Because like even for me, to be honest, I had never seen you on runway before. But when I saw you on runway, I was like, okay. She's she can actually do both. She can do both, but that's something I didn't know that you're actually passionate about as well.
So when it comes to runway itself is huge. I feel like there's two very separate forms. You can take this one as well.
Two separate forms
that are very different. There's beauty pageants, like the ones with like a Miss World, Miss Universe. There's that, and then there's high fashion. even how you walk on the two, very different. So like
Facial expressions.
facial expression, like with beauty pageants.
Mhm.
Let me start with high fashion. With high fashion, you're basically a hanger. So the model should not take away attention from the outfits. The whole purpose is to market the outfits of the designers. And for high fashion is mostly like when you see New York Fashion Week, or like the models tend to be more simple, even like the makeup or the walking style. But look at beauty pageants like Miss World. It's more about the model, and it's a competition.
Personality
exactly.
and yeah.
So it's not just beauty, it's who you are as a person, what's your purpose, your intellect, because you'll be questioned during the whole
That's
process.
where we need you. That's where we need you. You see what we're talking about?
So I feel like I started as more of an editorial type model, because I started with photo shoots, and I didn't intend to go into the industry. I just found myself there, and I was like, okay, this is something I can take advantage of and grow into it, and actually help use it as a platform to grow and improve my society or like my community, and actually use it to do something that is good. So when I got into runway, I think all the ones I've done so far are high fashion. Because I just go for auditions. If you're chosen, you walk the runway. Like there's no competing with other girls.
Yeah.
There's no.
It's just
like, it's
you
simple.
come do your work.
Do
and
your
that's
work
it.
and
Yeah.
you're out. You're paid. You leave.
Yeah.
But now, since I want to go more deep into the industry, I feel like the next step now is start or like what is it called? Go into beauty pageantry.
And I think it's now we are talking about it, and I think it's growth, because you started with editorial
and then high fashion,
and then now
pageantry.
Because now pageantry now consists of everything, your personality,
who you are as a person, what are your intentions,
and isn't that what we're talking about, like you making all these better
making
things about, like educating people, setting up like the whole.
And like one thing I'm really passionate about is something that is sad but actually happens in my community is still FGM. And
that's FGM. No, I know what it is. Don't look at me like that. You're like, what is this idiot talking about? I know.
I mean, it's 2019. This should be problems from the 19th century, you know? And it's not just the first recently I was having a conversation with one of my friends, and she was telling me about women going through the process one time and then again a second time right before marriage, and I actually didn't even know something like that existed.
Okay, that I didn't know it existed, but I know, like I have and sorry to cut you off, and even the listeners, because the listeners are always like, you're cutting off your guests.
It's okay.
Because I'll forget, and because I have friends as well, and most of them like have gone through it. And some, like even at this day and age, they still tell me, yes, we stay in Nairobi and everything, but when a certain time comes, we have to go back to Nini for that process, and then I'll come back, and I still don't get it why you would do it now, but
don't really understand why even the women would. I think it's being brought up in, and it has nothing to do with religion. It's just culture, like our old Somali African culture. And it's sad that just because our ancestors did something does not mean we have to continue with it. If it's outdated, we need to accept that it's outdated and stop it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's one thing that really bothers me, and that I would like start a campaign towards stopping, and maybe like start educating the people, going to the places where it's still practiced, and talk to the women and give them information and ensure they make an informed decision before they do anything.
But how do you think men from your community will take that?
There might be some backlash, but at the end of the day, it's about doing something that you believe in and feeling, doing something that is right. And if you're confident enough and you truly believe that you're doing the right thing, no matter what the amount of backlash you get, you will still have the energy to go on with your mission.
So basically, you didn't go through that process.
Well, our time was different when we were younger, back in the 90s. But I feel like today,
Yeah.
like if my mom were to give birth now, she can never allow her daughter to
Yeah,
go
because
through
it's
that.
definitely, like we've said, it's all about
Yeah.
like right now, like the education system, cultural differences, all these things that we are going through are completely different from what.
Very different.
So somebody doesn't have, and now that we just brought this up, like even if you go to like coastal community, western
Yeah.
community,
Yeah.
Kisi community is also
Even
very
the
popular with that, right?
Kikuyu back in the day, like
Yeah.
when I was studying history in high school, like
Yeah.
things that were common in most of Kenyan, African cultures was
Yeah.
FGM, like it was a
Yeah.
common practice of most of these tribes. So it's not just like a Somali thing, but generally African, I would say. And it's something that, I feel like a lot of women don't have, they're just being told, oh, this is something that is right, this is something that every woman has to go through, like if you don't, you'll be an embarrassment to your family or whatever. It's important to let them know that they don't have to go through that, like, just give them the right information.
But here's the thing, how do you deal with that? Because here you're staying in your parents' house, and they're like, yo, you need to do this, or otherwise move out. So you see, it's yes, you can highlight and talk about it, but I don't even think it's up to the young girls as much, because it's not their call. It's not their call. So
yeah,
I think the people who are supposed to be educated on this, it's the
older
parents.
Generation.
Yeah,
true.
Because the kids don't have a choice. They're not asked like, yo, do you want to, or
yeah,
no.
they're forced into it.
They're forced into it.
So I feel like it's important, like an idea I had was to have like a congregation of older men and have an older man talk to them, have a congregation of older women, have an older woman talk to them, and younger women have a young woman talk to them, someone they can relate to. And all this, the older man, the older woman, and the young woman, they all have the same intention, the same information, and they relay that to the people that are in their age group. And I feel like you'll be able to pass information, because imagine me as a young woman going to talk to a group of elder men, like who are in their 50s and 60s.
Will they? Especially Somali, first of all.
This Somali girl,
be like,
what does
no,
she know? What
it's
is she
model.
talking?
What is this model telling us?
Exactly. So, but if I can give that information to an older man who understands, and then he portrays it to
them, and actually it would. And I think you'd be, because do we have a spokesperson for that?
In Kenya, I haven't seen one. In Somalia, I have. But in Kenya, I think people are just assuming, it's the tradition is gone, it doesn't happen anymore, but it does happen.
It does, because I was having this conversation with my friend, and we were talking about how, and I'll keep bringing it up in like so many other podcasts, about the teenage pregnancy in Kilifi.
I saw that.
14,000. Yes.
I got so shocked.
It's 14,000, come on.
And all these girls are like underage, under 18.
Between 10 to 19.
10.
Yes.
10 years old.
But now put into consideration this. When they're getting pregnant, who do you think is getting them pregnant? It's not their age mates. It's older people. Yeah. And we're talking of 14,000 counted incidents.
In only one county.
Yes. I was like, does that mean like everybody there is like, you see a kid, she has a baby. You see somebody, like each house has like a baby.
Every guy.
It's scary, but now you have to understand it's, to them, it's normal, because you have like those women who actually send their girls to go to the beach, link up with tourists to make money. Some are just like not taken advantage of, because they think it's normal. You see, they're not even forced.
Normalized it.
Yeah, so like even kids who are like 14, they think they're supposed to be sleeping
doing
with.
That,
so to them it's normal. And somebody sent me a DM. I've just even forgotten like their name. I wish I could remember the name. I show you the DM. They sent me a DM because they've been doing an outreach program there, talking to young girls and everything. And he said because they were talking to primary school kids, and he said, when yeah, it's primary school kids, it's not even secondary,
That's
primary. And like us, like in secondary, like people are being told about sex and education and
Yeah.
those things, and people are giggling. In secondary, these are kids who are in primary. So he said during a break, they were walking on the beach, just taking the kids out and just talking to them more and everything. And as they're walking by the beach, they see some of their classmates who are like between class 5 and 6 there
what?
having sex with beach boys who are old, like old beach boys on the beach.
That is sad.
But that's what they do during break time. Like us, how during break time we go and play with games,
Yeah,
doing
like
any
3 sticks. Or
bars. Yeah, I was very good actually in three sticks and everything. So as people are doing that here, out there, this is what those kids are doing.
that
But
is
to
very
them, it's
unfortunate.
not something that's wrong. See,
Yeah.
that's what they do.
That's
'cause
what
if it's-
they've
yeah.
grown into.
Yeah. So to them, it's like there's nothing wrong with what they're doing. They're just like, it's kawaida. Like even if a grown-up passed there, like, come on, these
This
guys are,
happened.
not this
Wow.
happened. Like, hey, those guys are having sex and that's it. But it's a kid and a grown-up. But to them, it seems, but it's a whole cultural thing that we're talking about. So if you look at it like properly when you hear, it's like, that is sad.
Yeah.
Because these kids will grow up and maybe go now to high school, and now probably they're supposed to come now to the city, but by the time they get to the city, like mentally their state of mind is just,
Not where it should be.
they don't even like respect themselves as women, because they know they're supposed to be,
Yeah.
this is what I was brought here on earth
To
to do. But so it's
Wow.
good when you've brought that up, because you are very educated, well spoken. Of course, beauty is a plus, because now you know how Kenya
That's
operates.
how you get the
Yeah, you can
platform.
get like people's attention, like, okay, so now,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
no, I'm not saying like in a bad way. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
it's a plus in everything that you're doing. It just
Yeah.
goes in line with
With
like the beauty thing that you're also trying to approach and everything.
it helps you,
have-
get to where you're going.
And like young girls, you can be able to communicate to young girls, because they'll be like, okay, here's this person who has all these qualities,
Yeah.
and she's approaching this in this kind
This
of way,
way,
and
yeah.
she's preaching this, so it definitely must be something that
Works.
and we can look up to her and even admire and want to be like her.
And I feel like if you never brought up that issue, 14,000.
Yeah.
Like, I would have never known about it if it wasn't for this.
Every time I'm telling people, like, they're like, what? But it's just think 14,000. And even when they reported it in the news, it was just like casual news, like 14,000, and then see, that's it. But I keep bringing it up so that
Yeah.
everybody who's living here, they're like, and yeah,
something
that's-
needs to be done.
yeah, something needs to be
Something
done
needs to
between the
change.
ages of 10 to 19.
And the kids at that age are very vulnerable, and
Yeah.
as so
They can be taken advantage of
very easily.
easily.
They're very gullible. They still don't have enough information or experience to know what's right or what's
Yeah.
wrong, and at that age they need guidance more than anything. And I feel like someone needs to do something about it. And Kenyans, how we say, like how I'm saying now, someone needs to do something about it. Everyone will say someone needs to do something about it,
And
but no
that's
one
it.
will actually
Yeah.
do something.
Yeah. But I said,
So-
like, at the end of the year, I'm planning to do, like, just something, because I've brought it up way too many times, so I don't know what exactly is.
Whatever
is
you
that,
do,
but I
kindly
will.
involve me.
Okay. And I want people who can just talk and communicate about
Yeah,
it.
and
'cause-
sometimes something as simple as holding a conference
yeah,
and bringing someone to talk to them and
Yeah.
relay information does go a long way.
and that's all you need to do. That's
Yeah.
all. But now people are talking about it, but
No one's actually talking to them. We're just talking
Yep.
to ourselves about it.
Yep. So we'll see how it goes, but definitely that's on my books as well. But even like you've said, it's also really good, like you already have like things in place that you would want to actually
Do once
Yeah.
I have the platform to do them.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, you can take that. Or-
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
So it's also important to just it just shows that you have, and even the way you're talking about it, it's something that you actually
care about.
care about. No, no, 'cause
Something
it's
that happens, something that's very close to home, and
mm,
I've seen it happen myself. So it's one thing that I wish was different in the world.
yeah. I'm listening. It's unfortunate, but it's always it starts with us.
Yeah.
What
it
can you
starts
do
with
about
that.
it?
What
Because
can you
like
do
you've
about
said, you can just keep somebody needs
talking
to
about it. Yeah,
somebody needs to do it, but it
no one
won't change.
actually
Yeah.
does.
So
Yeah.
as much as we have like all these other things, social pressures
Mm-hmm.
that we need to meet, like you need to get your career on check, you need to get
your own personal growth.
personal growth.
Oh, you're getting old. There's that pressure of marriage and.
Which brings us to the next topic. Thank you.
Why did I say
thank
that?
you. Thank you for taking us there. Thank you for taking us there. Thank you very much. I cannot appreciate this anymore.
I
But
should've
you
just kept my mouth shut.
initiating this conversation now. Let's go to
My
that
big
because
mouth.
we've talked about like so many other things, and like I told you, my podcast is all about balance,
Yeah.
health, wealth, love,
Love
and
and
happiness. Yeah, and all those things are like just everybody has like a different story, but they apply in everybody's life.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can be happy, but what if your health is not intact?
True.
You can be happy, but what if you don't have like that person that you want to spend the rest of your life with, or even just love from like just your family and friends? All those little things, mental well-being, where the happiness will
Very
now sink in.
important.
Yeah, all those things come to play. But I didn't bring it up. Since she brought up marriage, let's find out how. What's the dating thing like for you? Are you seeing anyone? Are you on? Are your DMs busy? Are you rejecting DMs? Because it goes down in the DMs. You are very attractive, very reserved as well. And so I'm guessing like if somebody's approaching you, they can't have like stupid pickup lines. They have to be really
That will
creative.
not get a
Yeah.
reply.
They have to be very creative on how they're approaching you or anything.
Yeah.
How's it going for you? Do you
For
have anyone
me?
special right now?
At the moment, no. I'm just concentrating on. I have so much going on within myself, and I feel like I'm not the same person I was last year.
Yeah.
And I feel like it will be unfair for me to commit to someone right now while I'm constantly changing and constantly growing. And I feel like it's important for me to know myself first, love myself, take care of myself, know who I am. So by the time I'm getting into something, I'm not able to lose myself.
Yeah.
And sometimes we have this misconceptions that like I have no issue cooking or doing the chores. If anything, I find baking very therapeutic. I love like doing the chores, but
here comes the but. Here comes the but.
here comes the but.
Oh, let me stop
It
clapping.
should not automatically be expected of me, because
Okay.
at the same time I have a career that I'm following up with. I intend to go back to school, so there's still all this, I need to find a balance between work, career, home, and on top of all of that, I'm a firstborn. So not only will I be an example to like the younger ones, my parents are getting older, and he will get to a point where I'm the
It's
one
you who's gonna be taking care of them as well.
taking care
Yeah.
of them, exactly. So I can't just think of myself right now. I have other people I need to think about, and
I'm a firstborn too, by the way.
nice.
Yeah.
We have so much in common.
Yeah.
So for me, I feel like it's important right now to just concentrate on me and my growth, and how just discovering myself, if that makes sense, knowing myself better. And once I get to a stage where I feel like I'm comfortable and independent enough to be able to take care of my first family, and then getting married and starting a second family, and I'm the kind of person who's the only man I've ever been dependent on is my dad. I feel
As you should be, and it should be a lesson to everybody else. You hear that?
and he also it got to a point where he let me be independent on my own, and he did not like he's cutting me off kwa
But
ubaya,
just teaching me
to be
you.
independent. And I feel like
Yeah.
that was such an important lesson, because now I cover all my bills, like my dad doesn't even give me a shilling anymore, you know. But
you don't have to go to him like, you know, you need money for it. You can take care of like the little things.
Yeah,
for
even
yourself.
at home, pay bills for the house and contribute.
Wi-Fi at least. You know, those
One or
things,
two
those
things here and
small
there, you
things
know?
that, you know, make them see like, okay, yeah, you're being, and it's
Responsible
preparing
enough
you
for the
like,
future. True. And it makes them, you know, like right now, if I said I wanted to move to a different country or move out, they will have seen that I am responsible enough to do that.
Yeah, they'd be like, yeah, she's independent enough. She
to do
has
that.
self-drive, and she can actually
And
handle.
she takes care of herself, and they can trust that they have taught me enough to go out and be on my own.
That's very important. That's a long answer for somebody who just asked, like, are you seeing someone? Are you seeing someone? But okay. When it comes to just this relationship thing, like, what kind of qualities do you look for, like, in a guy?
The first thing for me would be understanding, someone who's understanding and someone who is willing to put in the time to know me, because like with social media you can follow someone and think that you know them.
Yeah, you don't know
but
anything.
But you don't really know them.
I didn't know her at all. I'm just finding out about all these things about her. I didn't know.
And then I feel like commitment is an issue for a lot of people. So someone who's willing to put in the time, put in the effort, because it's not, you know, like how they say, you get married and live happily ever after.
It's not the case.
It's not happily ever after. There's going to be hard times. There's going to be misunderstandings, and it's very important for you two to communicate. Communication is super important. So if there's someone who's always barking orders and the other one can't even talk, you know, can't be able to communicate to the other, then you're not gonna go far. It'll get to a point where one will get tired and just disappear, not
you know?
So
won't be seeing eye to eye anymore.
So for first thing is someone who's understanding. 2, communication, super important. I can't stress it's important enough. Number 3, ambition, I guess, is also important, because I can't be the one going to work and you're just sitting on the sofa watching TV the whole time. Like, we have to do this 50-50.
Yeah, true.
I understand that there are times when someone is low and they need to rest, and at that time you can pick up like 80-20, and sometimes it's vice versa. The one who was, you know, the 80 becomes the 20, and you just need to find a balance of working it out, you know?
You actually put that into consideration.
Yeah,
not a lot of, I'm just saying, not a lot of, you know, young women would have like the same sentiments, I'm guessing.
For me, I think where I am mentally, it's important for where my mental state is to match his. You know, if he has like the same ambition and drive and ideals, like it's okay to have different of opinion. That's totally fine.
Yeah.
But as long as you can come to an understanding, very important.
Okay. You know, these questions, once it comes to relationship, my questions are always like this.
Let's go.
So I have another one. This is a very tricky question, but I'm also talking about it from experience, my friend's experience, and just what's happening like currently, like right now. Because right now we've been forced with things like business, work, and just social places and all these things. We are really mixing, like, from the crowd that used to be like, you know, everybody just separated, right?
True.
So now you find like a lot of Indian girls will be interacting with like everybody else. A lot of Indian men are interacting with everybody else. I'm guessing you know where this question is going.
Interracial, tribal.
What are your thoughts on that? And given a situation, how would you handle it? Because I also know like just a lot of Somali women who like date out of their race as well, their tribe as well, and it's tricky because now you have it's never about you guys, it's always like family. It's always like family, because the family is like, come
family
on now,
and acceptance, and getting your family's blessing.
How what are your thoughts on that, first of all? And a scenario. I'll just paint this scenario. You
Okay.
happen to like someone from a different nini. How would you handle that situation?
For me, I think growing up, I never imagined myself getting married to a Somali. There's
What?
nothing wrong with our people.
Wait,
I love
serious?
them. I love our religion.
You never grew up thinking.
Yeah, and I prepared my parents from an early stage. Like every time I talked to my mom, like I would just scare her a bit.
Oh yeah, just to tease her,
Just to
like
scare-
yeah.
Yeah, but eventually it ended up opening her mind. You know, it like
Oh.
opened up her thoughts. You know, and like I didn't have any I think my intention was just to ensure she's open-minded for whatever happens in the future.
Oh, the future is crazy.
You-
Let's
you
go. You
never
go
know
to a
what will
different
happen.
country, and
Yeah.
I'll send you like a few profiles of like people that I know who are overseas and then have hijabi, but like I see their
Yeah.
husband and I'm like,
Is white or black
yeah,
American.
yeah.
So for me, I don't have a problem marrying outside my tribe. Like I think the only important
You
thing.
know, a lot of your people will be listening and watching to this
I
podcast,
love
right?
my people. I love my the Somali people, the culture, the history. Everything about our people is beautiful. But at the same time, I don't find anything wrong with like interracial marriages, or if anything, it's such a beautiful thing seeing two very different cultures coming together. And mixed babies are beautiful.
Yeah, true. Very
But
true.
if I end up, with a Somali guy, I also
Yeah.
don't have a problem with that. I'm just open.
You're just saying like if you like somebody, you actually just like them. You're not restricted
I'm
to
not
like it has
restricting
to be.
myself to it has
Yeah.
to be ABC.
I don't know whether you saw my teaser that I posted yesterday.
Uh-huh.
I was asking like the concrete roses
Ah,
girls, cause
yeah, I saw
one is
that
South
one.
Korean and the other
one
is
Indian.
Indian as well.
Mhm.
So I was asking, but even for them, like their answers, it's like they have even like been in situations where they've dated out of their race and everything, but it's always like about what's always at the back of your head is like the
What
parents.
will my parents think of it?
And how you're going to deal with that situation in case
Yeah.
you guys actually get serious
Yeah.
with what's going on with you.
Yeah.
So
So I feel like also but I feel for me, I've talked to my parents enough for them to understand. I feel like for them, what will be more important is religion. Now, if you're both from different religions,
how is this gonna
how will you
fly?
raise your
Oh
kids?
yeah.
You know, like what religion will you? If you're both Muslim, it's easy. If you're
Yeah.
both Christian, it's easy.
Mhm.
But if you're from two very different, diverse backgrounds, the children might get confused. And sometimes that is like a huge aspect that parents look at.
Yeah, and even just growing up as a child, you
Yeah,
really you
like
don't.
You grow up confused. You feel also that when I look at a lot of people that are from a different background growing up in a region where there's no people that are like them,
Yeah,
they grow up
it's always hard to
confused.
fit in. It's really hard. Yeah.
And like you there's this side and there's this side, and you can't really choose because you love both your parents, and
Yeah.
like all that comes to play. But if you find a way of working it out,
Well and good. but like that's what I'm saying, like even for the current climate, things are so different and
things are changing
and,
so fast.
and there's no script.
Mhm.
So you can't say like even parents, they can't be prepared for that because they're like, okay, sir, now it's happened. How do we deal with this?
Yeah,
You didn't prepare us for this. How do we deal with this? You tell us, because you're the one who's decided to take this journey. How do we deal with this?
How do we
And
deal
I
with
also understand, because even from them, maybe they're like, they've just grown up very differently, and there's just maybe one way they know of things, how they work,
Yeah,
and now they have to accept all these things.
changes
Yeah.
happening so fast.
You're already throwing modeling at them. You're already throwing them all these other things on their nini. They're like, how many things do we have to deal with? But it's
Yeah.
also important just to hear that from like your perspective, because
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't, because I know like people who are like, me, if somebody's from this ethnicity or tribe or this nini, I can't. And I'm always like, wait, what do you mean? What does that even mean? Because you can't really not like someone for no reason at all, just apart
Just
from their
because,
different
yeah.
nini. Yeah.
For me, I think the most important thing is who the person is.
Yeah.
Like their persona, their intentions, just who that person truly is at their core, who they truly are. For me, that's the most important thing. If you find a good person, their ethnic background doesn't really, like, that's something that I'm not strict about that.
Yeah.
I'm very open about that. Yeah.
I have a very smart way of answering all my questions. But I'm like, now there's no question that can get you off here or anything. I know you've talked a lot about how you're trying to just focus on yourself
Yeah.
and everything, but do you ever have like, pressure maybe from like friends, aunties who are telling you like, hey, by then
Funny thing,
Ikran,
last
after a certain age where you really need to, we want you to have like a first kid at this age, plus they've experienced it. Maybe they're not always like coming from a bad point. They're always like thinking, okay, if you have like a baby at 20, by the time you're like 25, 30, you've already finished all these things.
Yeah.
But now if you want to actually deal with these things when you're slightly older, it's gonna be different, and they're not lying. They're also right in a way.
Yeah.
But have you
thought about?
Yeah.
Funny story. Last weekend I was at a wedding.
Yeah.
And this lady offered to. Like she was like, I want to come to your dad and propose my son to you. So
Ooh, okay.
And I think my answer is always going to be the same. I'm not ready. They say once you that question comes about, I always think, am I the person that I'd want to marry? So I work towards being that person that I'd actually want to marry.
Mm-hmm.
And the pressure is there because like a good number of my friends who we went to high school with, they're married, some have 2 kids already, and I'm still like
But do you feel like forget about like what everybody else is saying. Do you personally feel the pressure of like, hey, maybe I should?
I don't think so. I feel like everything happens in its own time, and when it gets to my time, it will be my time. But for now, I can take this. I don't know how long this small independent period will last. So I'm just taking advantage of it and just growing myself as a person. And
taking things, step by step.
Slow. Whatever happens I believe that everything is already written and the ink is dried, and God has his own plan for us, and as long as you're working hard and you remain a good person, you just leave the rest to God and everything will just fall into place. And then the thing is, my parents, I don't get that pressure from my parents. Like when I'm talking to my
that's
dad,
at least where you go home at night, and if there's no pressure there.
And my dad is talking about going back to school, me going back to school, or me following up. Either one time, like when I decided to take this job, he was like, he supported my modeling career more than the 8 to 5.
Oh wow, really?
Like I was like, okay, like he was like, you can take on modeling and start your own thing, and then doing those two at the same time is better for you than because he.
And that's very rare, right?
Very rare, especially for a Somali
father.
father.
Exactly. My point exactly. Yeah. Very, very rare.
That actually shocked me because initially we were talking a lot about work and employment, but he sat me down, and he's been I think it's because he has been employed for most of his life, and as he got older he was like, if I had just started a business when I was younger, now I would have been far. So he's giving me his experience, and at now that he is where he is, what he thinks about. Yeah,
because he's already seen that path, and he's like,
that, and he's like, hey, Ikran, if you want to start, that's when now he proposed like the loan and everything. Is like, okay,
which you said no to.
I feel like,
trust me, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, he does,
and he's looking for your best interest.
I feel like that's where most of my strength comes from. I have 2 very understanding and supportive parents, and that's something I'm very, very grateful for.
You should, because first of all, no parents are giving loans out here. First of all, that's also one major thing that a lot of people are just struggling with. So if you have parents who support you, it just takes a lot of pressure on so many other things. Even the way you've said, like culturally, all these other things that come to play. Yeah. They're really understanding with all these things.
Yeah, which growing up, they were very strict. but I feel like also how you communicate with them is very important, and you talking to them about your intentions and your growth and where you intend to be 5 years from now, and just opening up to them about who you want to be. Very important.
Wow. We've talked about a lot. A lot. And we can
That's
go
been
on
interesting
and on and on. But I'll just ask you maybe like 2 more questions as we wrap up, because clearly if we are neighbors, I'll just be calling you for podcast sessions all the time.
Anytime.
You can always be
I'm
picking
truly
subjects
enjoying
and
this.
actually, this is actually a first time doing this.
Imagine.
Can you
Amazing.
imagine? Like, you see all these young girls that you're talking about and everything, they can just come and listen to this podcast and
get access to information.
The information and just you in general, to understand how you're viewing things. And just to know, like, because somebody wouldn't know, like, and the worst part, I'm always saying this is, like, the people who just post pictures alone, like you. People wouldn't know anything about you, because you're like, what kind of person is she? What kind of person is she?
I think part of it is because I'm such an introvert, and I've always had my walls so high, so it's hard for me to let people in, especially once I started like getting the anxiety attacks and all of that. Like, I figured it's important to protect my peace of mind, and I feel like if people don't know me, they can't judge me. But like, at the same time, there's some strength in vulnerability, because if people know all your weaknesses, like
there's nothing to attack.
There's nothing else to attack.
Plus you sharing that, there's somebody else. And I remember, funny thing, because you've said that, and there's somebody else who was telling me about like anxiety, and she's Somali as well. So I was like, what do you mean? Because she was saying like just when she walks, sometimes they come and she can't like
you just freeze in time.
So I was like, I don't understand exactly how, like, what causes this. But for her, she was just saying she gets them. And there's a time she locked herself in the house for like 2 months.
Well, like, even just getting, sometimes we really need to credit ourselves for the things we overcome. Sometimes something as simple as getting out of bed in the morning is such a huge hurdle to. And for me, I think like once I get maybe like an anxiety or a panic attack, I feel like I am enclosed in this small cube, and I'm very, very claustrophobic. Like, small spaces scare the shit.
So it's a good thing we picked a nice location for the podcast.
Yeah, at least it's open, it's free. So I'm very claustrophobic, and once I get these attacks, I feel like I'm enclosed in this small space, and the walls are caving in, and I literally cannot breathe. Like, I start feeling pain in my stomach, and the mental stress turns into actual physical pain, and you can't even move.
Oh, that's crazy, man. That's crazy.
I feel like these are things that people don't talk about. I personally have never spoken about it in public. And
really?
I think it's my first time talking.
First time?
I have spoken to one close friend, and like,
but in a public setting?
A doctor, but I have not.
Well, I'll say thanks for sharing. But funny thing is, like, you'll realize it even like from a lot of the podcast episodes. Like, there's so many people who like are just talking almost about like the same thing. And I think if you're wired as an artist, we kind of also have a different way of looking at things. So a lot of people, you'll notice kind of like they almost like, I heard, what's his name? Antonio Sol. You should just wait for his episode. He was saying like, I was like, how am I telling you this information? Nobody knows this about me.
Nobody knows. It's the first time.
But he said he felt a relief about it, and it's just things that are important to share, because somebody's going to listen to that and they'll be like, oh.
If just one person benefits from that,
and they can connect. They can connect to you. They'll be like, okay, I also like, and then they even reach out to you because of actually something, just that particular experience. And then like, how did you deal with it? How do you deal with this, and this? And
if you can have just one positive impact on just one person, I feel like you help made the world a better place, one person at a time. If you help one person, I help one person, that person of help helps another person, it just
Okay.
grows into this.
First of all, actually, I'm planning to help a lot of people, not one.
Once you help
But I get
someone,
what
that
you say.
person takes
Yeah.
inspiration from you and pays it forward, and that person pays it forward, and one person at a time, the world becomes a better place.
You're really going to ace those Miss Universe questions. You know that, eh?
Pray for me, people. Pray for me.
So, just one final question. Huh? Oh no, I had two. Okay, what other hobbies do you have just besides
Basketball.
you're
Like I
lying?
played throughout uni. Wallahi billahi.
You're
Like
you're lying. There's no way you can play basketball.
the first time I played was just
You can
for
play
fun.
basketball.
Like my friend was.
Okay, sir, serious. Are we joking or I don't know
I'm
whether
very
you're serious
serious.
or
Like I can even send you pictures of like certificates I got in uni for like playoffs and tournaments. And
wow.
all
Okay.
of that. I played for KU.
Do other people know this that you play basketball?
I don't think so. Maybe a few people.
Wow.
But I think I wrote about it in my blog, but I haven't spoken about it in a while because after uni I didn't exactly have a platform to continue with it. So I kind of
Yeah,
took
basketball
it down
courts
a notch.
everywhere. What do you mean?
There's
Closest one is one where professional one
in
you
our
have.
own estate, imagine there.
Come on, now you see.
But
I
now the
see.
issue is boys easy to play
Oh,
football,
it's
and
gone.
you can't go and chase them away unless if you go like at a very early hour when people are still sleeping. And
Plus, I'm guessing you need like playing partners
yeah,
here as
people
well.
to
You can't
play
be playing
with,
alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless if you're just training for maybe just for your own fitness or something, running and doing like
So what
workout.
were you good at when it comes to basketball? Shooting,
I started
passing,
out-
dribbling.
I started out as a center, the one who's like, I don't know if I
Yeah.
say goalkeeper.
I know. Yeah.
I started out as a center, but with time I realized I was like a better forward. So the ones for passing,
Yeah.
usually the guards tend to be good with
Yeah.
shooting.
Yeah.
So usually the passing of the ball from the opponents towards your goal and also ensuring that they do not go past you. That mostly, yeah.
Interesting. And would you say that maybe because you played throughout campus, right?
Yeah.
Would you say that helped you like just even be in shape and everything, or
But not just even physically.
yeah.
It was a huge outlet for me. Like
Yeah.
school can get stressful at times, and then in the evening when it gets to 4 p.m. I just run to my room, change, go to the court, play, and then our team was just full of crazy fun people.
Yeah.
Like it was everyone there was just out to better themselves physically and also have a good time. So by the time you're leaving the court, you've forgotten all your problems. It was just a really good outlet, and I feel like maybe that was a huge reason why I didn't really struggle with my mental health then, because I had an outlet of letting
Yeah.
out the stress and the hard times. But once I lost that, and I have to find ways of dealing with it.
And that's why I want to say, like, maybe, just finding like a physical activity that you can, because maybe your body was even like already conditioned with
a
just
certain way.
a certain way
Because
of
I
handling.
used to train 4 to 6:30 p.m. Monday to Friday, every single day.
Now you see, now you've taken that away from like
Myself,
yourself.
yeah, I don't have
and-
that anymore. And it's probably like a huge reason of why I've been struggling. with
Try, just find something to do
Yeah.
out. I know it's
This has
tricky
been
once
very
you,
eye-opening for me as well. So I need
Yeah.
to go back to writing, and I
Yep.
need to. But
because there's
I've
nothing
always
stopping
been
you if you think about it.
True.
Yeah.
I can just sign up for a class. I've always been interested in boxing.
Yeah,
Like
do
Muay Thai.
kickboxing, and a lot of people are doing it, and they're saying it's like because it's a full body like nini
Workout.
Yeah.
You just
Even though because basketball now you have to find people to play with, a team, and now form like chemistry. Because school is very
yeah,
different.
School is very
So
different.
people you're used to.
Yeah, people you see in class, and you're able to create this chemistry with them, and you're on the court together, and yeah.
I think you need to find that. It
Yeah,
would be
I
nice.
need to find
See, I
that,
told you
yeah.
this podcast is going to like open so many other things that you didn't know about, and you're like, yes.
Something that seems so simple, but if you don't talk about it, you actually don't realize it.
Yeah, but just having that conversation, once you go back, replay it in your mind, you'd be like, oh, yeah.
By the way,
Now this makes sense. This makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now just last question, because we've pushed it. We've really pushed this podcast, but it's because there's so much to talk about. Yeah. The one question that I ask everybody in the podcast as we're just winding up is, what's the one thing that you think right now you're in pursuit of, that if you get it, you'll definitely look at life differently, or have like that balance, or just give you more satisfaction in what you wake up to every single day? Maybe it's job, or maybe it's friendship, maybe it's love, maybe it's moving to a different country, maybe it's impacting like Somali girls in a, what's that one thing that gives you drive?
Can I say 3 things?
3? Okay, no, I won't limit you like, oh no, you have to have one thing to be happy. No, you can say what. Yeah.
For me, 3 things. First thing that I feel like if I achieve now, it will truly make me happy is being at peace with achieving my peace of mind, because to be honest, I've been struggling the past couple of months and so much has been going on, and if I feel like I'm at a place where I have complete peace of mind and situations that would normally stress me out don't anymore, that is like my first goal and the first thing that I'm working most towards. Second thing is I would really love to move out on my own. And as much as I don't know if my parents would agree, like this is another topic of discussion with
Oh yes.
Because from where I come from, a woman really can't move out before marriage. Like if you're moving out of your parents' house, you're moving into your husband's house.
Oh.
There's usually not that space in between. But if I decide to maybe do my master's in a different country or work in a different country, I feel like that would push me towards, I really want to live on my own and experience that independence for maybe a few months or a year just by myself, and follow my dreams and do everything by myself. Like I appreciate my parents and they've done so much for me, and I'm truly, truly grateful to them, but I need to know that I'll be okay on my own.
Yeah.
And then the third thing is to be able to start a campaign that will enable me to give back to the community, and because I would not have come this far if it wasn't for people's support. You know, like maybe my Instagram followers, they voted for me to win that award last year,
Yeah.
So I'm grateful to everything that everyone has done for me up to now. So if I'm able to do something to give back, that will give me satisfaction and happiness. So those 3 things. Start a campaign, like a truly useful one that will change people's lives.
Yeah.
Attain my peace of mind, and moving out and becoming truly independent on my own.
Oh. There you have it. I think we've touched on everything. And we can always do another episode. We definitely will do another episode.
Yes.
That's a must. And I think like a lot of people just need to hear you, like just from people like you, and even just from people of your own community, because like you'd see what's on social media, what's getting attention are not just always the right things and inspirations and everything. So it's important for people like you who are just going through this journey, and a lot of young girls are looking up to you, can be able to hear you speak and talk about different things that are different perspective of how just you approach life in so many ways, and just what it comes with.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes we are part of the problem, because we only, like when it comes to social media, we're human, so we'll end up posting only the positive things, like only the picture perfect, like if maybe like how you're telling me a model who won't post a picture because they have a pimple or something.
Yeah.
And I
She'll
feel like
be here on Wednesday. She'll be here on Wednesday.
Which I truly understand, because sometimes people judging too much causes insecurities and lack of confidence, but at the same time I feel like it's very important to be real and show what really goes on behind the camera, behind the scenes, and being someone who people can relate to, being someone real and showing both sides of the coin. And as I said, like sometimes it's us who contribute to the problem of showing this perfect life, which is unrealistic, and like the younger generation tries to live up to that, which is not exactly
what it looks like,
yeah,
right?
what it looks like. So I was just emphasizing the importance
Okay,
of
the
remaining
kids
real.
get her pass, but him no way. Okay, so sorry, just go on.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like we really need to truly show what actually goes on behind the scenes. Like for example, when it comes to runway, most of the time you'll only see me showcasing the actual day of the event,
Strutting
and
on
this,
the
yeah, but you don't see the days and the hours that went into practice. Like the previous runway I did in Feb, the training, I was trained by this guy called Kent Out, and he's been modeling for more than 10 years. He was like in the group for Akina Juma, like he actually trained with them, and wearing heels from 8 a.m. to almost 8 p.m. and by the time you get home you're exhausted, your feet are in blisters, you're tired, it gets to a point where it gets so hard you want to give up. But people don't see that part of it.
But you see, that's why Miss Universe stood out from last year, because they showed this whole...
They showed the whole process, and it became relatable, and it seemed a lot more real. Yeah.
Than just seeing the final product, people
Just
strutting on the runway, being crowned. So even when people start saying like it's unfair, you don't understand what this person has done to actually achieve what they've been able to achieve. So I mean, we can always pick up. We can always do another podcast because we're clearly getting company.
That you have so much to talk about.
Yeah, we still have so much to talk about, and we can always recoup in another podcast session.
Sure.
So for now, I mean, what else do you have going on, and where can people find you?
One, I feel like Instagram has been such an amazing platform that has enabled my growth. So follow my Instagram. We'll put it somewhere here.
Yeah.
At Ikran_Omar_.
Yeah.
It's the one platform that I use a lot. Or you can, if it's maybe someone who intends to work with me in the future, can email me at ikranomar7@gmail.com.
There you have it. Is there anything else you want to plug that you have going on?
One thing I would like to say before we end this is to the upcoming models. A lot of times, like the ones that have approached me who intend to go into the industry tend to want to either drop out of school or just not live the other, the conventional lifestyle, going to primary, high school, uni, working. Don't give that up for something that is uncertain. I'm not saying don't go into modeling, do go into it, but at the same time, make sure you have a plan B and like a separate source of income so that you're not lost in this industry. Yeah, so still pursue your education, pursue your career, pursue your dream. I graduated, I'm a CPA, I'm a financial manager, and on top of that I am a model, so you can have it all. Yeah, don't just don't think you can't make it. Believe in yourself and go after your dreams while still being a good person and remaining within the lines of your principles.
Yeah, and I guess all these things that you study in school, they might not directly be relatable to what you're chasing, but they sort of give you guidance, professionalism, and just
they play into the things that I intend to do.
True. So yeah, you hear that, girls. This is coming from somebody who's doing this. Don't give up everything else. Just saying that, just
you can have it both.
It's not like, we're not like in the States. In the States, it's different. You get $1 million
very
contract.
Exactly. Like
you're
you
set.
can pursue it as a full-on career.
But Kenya, when you see all those hashtags, pay models KE, there's so many things that come with the industry,
Yeah.
but you have to learn. But don't be ignorant, because you can now actually reach out to the people who are in the industry, like the
Yes.
models, and actually ask them how's the experience.
Very important.
Why are we getting all these hashtags from people who are even well established and everything? So I mean, just do more research on your end.
Yeah, information is power. Information is power.
Key word, or key statement.
Yes.
Information is power. So yeah, that's it, guys. It's been real, another amazing episode, and that's why we've stretched it out. And I had to go get extra batteries. We ran out of batteries like twice, but of course that's my fault. I didn't charge them, but it's been an amazing episode. I can't thank you enough for coming through.
Thank you so much for having me.
Because I just needed somebody who can come here and talk from a very different, perspective, different walk of life, and just the modeling as well.
Yeah.
So that even in my previous interviews, people can see just even the different kinds of models who are here and how they perceive things.
Yeah.
So thank you, and I can wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you very much.
Especially for the Miss Universe
Upcoming
crown. Yeah. Let's see how
Pray
that goes.
for me, guys.
So if you need to find more information about her Instagram will be there as I post the videos. You'll get to know more about her as I introduce her in the snippets during the week, and the full episode at the end of the week, which is Saturday, of course. And for any more information, just reach out to her. She'll tell you what you need to know. As for those who are listening and watching, make sure you subscribe to the Kiskapades podcast on iTunes, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. But just before we finish, what's the name of the podcast?
You will not make me say it again. Kiskapades. Hey, I got it right.
Okay, yeah, she couldn't say it right the first time, but she did it. You see, it was all in your head thinking
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah. So
I got it wrong the first 2 times.
But she got it
Aced
right
the
now.
third time.
Yeah. So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Till next time, guys. It's been real. Thank you.
Subscribe, share, like.
on all platforms,
On
right?
all platforms.
Yeah. And hopefully you'll start your YouTube soon as well.
Yes.
Please do.
And one last thing, I just want to say that you're doing such an amazing job, and you are providing people with such sensitive information that is hard to find anywhere, and getting these different perspectives from all these different people. You're doing a great job. Thank you very much. And I just want to encourage you to continue, and just to make you know that you're appreciated and you're doing a great job.
Oh, for those people who don't appreciate me, did you hear that? Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much
Don't
for
let me
having
hang
me.
in. Don't let me hang. Yeah, so thank you so much, guys. Till next time.
Bye-bye.
Bye.